Shalom to the 12 tribes. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the Father and the Son, in the Paleo Hebrew tongue. Shabbat Shalom to everybody who's observing the Shabbat today. And if you're not, I pray you're having a good uh, day, anyways. So today's lesson is going to be called Being Holy or Set Apart and the Many Protections It Brings. So I've been getting a lot of questions lately about lust, about dealing with pride, about dealing with slothfulness, and a few other topics. And instead of doing separate lessons on all these different topics, I'm just gonna go over. Me and the brother Most High Willing are gonna edify y'all on how being holy or being set apart is going to help you with every single one of these things that you brothers and sisters have been reaching out and saying that you're struggling with, or that you have struggled with in the past, and maybe you haven't thought about it in this sense or in this light. But being set apart, which is, to my knowledge, the most commanded law in the Bible. Doing it is going to protect you from all different manner of sins. So the word holy, which means set apart, is actually in the Bible 681 times. So if it's in the word that many times, it's definitely something that's very imperative that we strive to do at all times. Barzayah Judah, Shabbat Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Shabbat shalom, brother.
Hope everything's good with you and your household. So we're gonna start in First Peter, the first chapter.
This is First Peter chapter 1, verse 16. Because it is written, Be ye holy, for I am holy.
So it says, "Be holy, because the Most High is holy." If you want to get Deuteronomy 7 and 6, Bible Kashal. So real quick, in the blue letter, which the blue letter, for those of you who don't know, is the Hebrew translation and the Greek translation. The Hebrew in the Old Testament and the Greek in the so-called New Testament. The word holy is kadash in Hebrew. Kadash means to be sacred, sanctified, or set apart. So anytime you see the word holy, it's pretty much interchangeable with the word set apart. Go ahead, Ak.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy God.
So it says, y'all are a set apart people, a sacred or sanctified, set apart people unto Yahweh. Go ahead.
Yahweh thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So if you know that you're an Israelite, or if you're striving to follow the Most High's word, you have to know and understand that you have to be a set apart people unto the Most High. You can get Leviticus 20 and 26, Baruch Shah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a holy or set apart people unto the Most High, because He has chosen Israel to be a special people to Himself above all people on the face of the earth. So if the Most High gives you that, or the knowledge of that, right, to whom much is given, much is required. Now you have to not only understand that mentally, but physically begin to set yourself apart unto Yahweh. And how do you set yourself apart unto Him? Is by following His word. Go ahead.
This is Leviticus chapter 20, verse 26. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, Yahweh, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine.
Again, this is in the law. It says, "Ye shall be holy unto me," meaning you shall be set apart unto me. So, what happens, or I've seen happen over the past 6 or so years, more than 6 years that I've been striving to follow the word, is you'll see people find out they're Israelites, or find out, get some knowledge from the word, and they're like, man, this is true. Look, I see this happening in my life. I see the curses playing out in my family, in my neighborhood, in my city, in the country, around the world. But what happens a lot of times is, once they realize they have to be set apart to the Most High, and they have to be severed from other people like it says here, that's too much to ask,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't do it, right? Because again, holy kadash, it means to be set apart, which is why he says, I have severed you from the other people. If you sever somebody's hand off, like what's the dude's name in The Walking Dead? Uh,
Um. Uh.
Daryl's brother. I forgot his name.
Merle
Merle, right? He severed his own hand off.
mutilated himself.
Right? He had to cut his own hand off. That's what we have to do in order to truly be severed from the people and be with the Most High. And most people aren't really willing to do that.
It's crazy you say that because what I've also like learned just from observing people that don't want to be set apart. I feel like, and it's just my understanding. You can let me know if you think otherwise. But in my understanding, I've came to realize that a big part of why people don't want to do it is because they don't want to feel quote unquote left out. It all comes down to people not wanting to be lonely. Like how you say it is with sisters, same thing with brothers, right? Everything comes down to like I don't want to be lonely. And we know that this walk actually is a lonely walk until the Most High brings you to or brings you across the path with somebody who's meant to be in your path. You know what I mean? So I feel like, to my understanding, it's mainly because people just don't want to feel like they're left out or they're lonely.
Con, and that's another reason as to why.
One of the reasons.
Con, I think that's a huge reason. And if you think about it, that's something that it's a habit or not a custom or tradition, but I guess you could just say a habit that people bring in from the world, because all of us at one point in time were in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wants to fit into their own little group, right?
Yep.
You either have like the football players or the weightlifters,
popular, quote unquote popular kids
right.
in school.
You got the stoners, you got the
nerds and emo kids,
right? So break dancers, whatever the case may be, and everybody, for the most part, wants to fit in somewhere, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to when you come into the truth. Some people are like, man, but I don't fit in with these people no more because I'm trying to follow the word. So then they actually go back to the people or the friends environments that they are used to, because it's just like in fighting. That's why like when we were training yesterday and I told you technique first, then speed, right? Because technique, if you have good technique at a slow pace, that's what you're going to go back to when you're tired, or when somebody's rushing you. You're going to go back to whatever is your muscle memory, right? So for people in the world and stuff, they're so used to being with wicked people that a lot of times when they feel like they're in trouble or they feel tired, they feel worn out just because they're going through it because they're by themselves, they're going to go back to what they know best, which is
resort back to it.
Yep, and it's back to the world, right? But this is Matthew 5:30. It says, "And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell." So, if your right hand man, the person that you've been best friends with your whole life, right?
Don't get me started on
whether whether it be you be a male, a female, whether it be your best cousin, whether it be a family member, it says it could be your right hand. Isn't it better for you to make it to the kingdom, cut them off, and make it to the kingdom? Of course it is,
in
right?
my opinion.
Of course it. But for the most part, from what I've seen, and again, that's because many are called, few are chosen. Most people are given that option to, okay, be set apart, and they'll either just completely deny it or they'll do it for a season, and then the ways of the world will choke them out, like that what is it, the thorny ground, right? You want to read what the brother put out?
Khan. It's Micah chapter 2 verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sore destruction. I like that because that's crazy, because that really is what it is though. And I mean, in context, he's talking about fleeing like in the physical sense, but if you apply it to what we're talking about, right? Just think of it in the aspect of how the Most High is telling you, like, look, separate yourself from them, right? Because if you don't do it, it's gonna kill you little by little. And whenever you finally dead, I mean, I'm not gonna bring you back. You feel what I'm saying? It's like the Ak used this scenario like a long time ago, but I always remembered it though. He was like, you drink a little bit of poison long enough, like if he was to give me a meal every day, right? Which I know he'll never do this, but if he was to give me a bomb meal every day, some French toast and some eggs, and it tastes so good, and he slip a little bit of poison in it every single time, every single day, sure enough, it'll eventually kill me. And it's the same thing with not being set apart. Believe it or not, the more you hang around poisonous people, you're gonna eventually get infected with it. You know what I mean? Like I'll give y'all an example. I work at this one spot. I ain't gonna say where I work at, but I work at a call center though, and it's a bunch of people in there every single day. A bunch of faggots, a bunch of Jezebel women, a bunch of
Dykes.
dykes. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of everything that ain't supposed to be there, and we have to sit in like cubicles and stuff, and we have our own roles, right? And everybody on my team specifically, I'll probably sit on the same side as two people. Everybody else is like 10 people, 10, 12 people on the other side of the complete opposite of where I sit at. And I did that on purpose because I knew I didn't want to be in the mix of all that. I chose to separate myself and to set myself apart because if I was to be in the midst of it, then I can't necessarily blame anybody for me getting infected with their foolishness or their folly because I put myself in that position. Which it could kill me spiritually if you think about it.
Con, con, and that's another thing. A lot of people try to justify them, whether it be falling out the truth or falling into different various temptations, various sins and things of that nature. But again, if you would just set yourself apart from the people and the environments and the things that have caused you to go off in the past or in the present,
Mm-hmm.
you would be putting yourself in a position to not fall into these things. So it really does come down to working out your own salvation. And the best advice I could give to people, especially people that are newer in the truth, is to be as set apart as possible,
Man.
right? Obviously, we have to be set apart spiritually first, which leads to physically, as far as like, I'm going to come out of the different doctrines of Christianity or Islam or being
Mm-hmm.
apostolic, Catholic, whatever the case may be. But after you do that, then you're physically going to have to leave those churches as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then your physic, and it just increases. There's steps to it, right? There's levels, and you're going to keep trying to be more and more set apart as you go,
Mm-hmm.
if you're sincere in wanting to be set apart,
Yeah.
right? If you want to get First John 2:15 real quick,
Kind.
and then we'll get into a few different things. So we're gonna cover let me see, pride, anger, slothfulness, lustfulness,
Oh,
uh,
sound like a good live.
envy or jealousy, greed, and well, greed and gluttony basically can fall into the same category,
Mm-hmm.
right?
This is First John chapter 2, verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
So it's fine to love your family, to love wisdom, to love the Most High, to love the things that the Most High has given us, and has actually, especially I speak mainly to you brothers, that He has given us to oversee, right? Because just like He oversees all His people and everything, we're supposed to be overseeing our households, wives, children, etc., right? But when you start loving the things of the world, it's gonna lead you away from the Most High. Go ahead.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world.
So the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Most High, which we're going to get more into in detail in a second. Go ahead.
And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of Yahweh abideth forever.
So anything that you lust after that's in the world, or the majority of things that you lust after that are in the world, can be, what's another word, like mitigated, or could be brought down to a lower level if you be set apart from whatever you're lusting over, right? I know a lot of brothers have a problem with lusting over women, right? Which when you look at in general how the world is and the way that it's set up for women to be, it's understandable, but it's
Unacceptable.
unacceptable in the eyes of the Most High, right? So go ahead and get Galatians 5:16.
Uh,
So I'll go ahead and start with lust and how being set apart can help first, because since I've been getting, probably that's the most asked question when it comes to certain things people are struggling with.
This is Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
Go ahead and read it one more time.
This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
Walk in the Spirit, and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. If you want to get John 6:63.
Con.
So if you walk in the Spirit, you're not going to fulfill the lust of the flesh. Now, the first thing, a lot of precepts come to mind when I hear certain like keywords from verses, right? So it says, walk in the Spirit.
What does that mean, huh?
But so what we have to understand here is, can two walk together except they be agreed?
No.
No. So if you're hanging out, the first thing is this: if you're hanging out with people that are lustful, right? About if you're hanging out with dudes that are always talking about, "Oh, I got with this chick and I'm trying to get with that chick, and I've been talking to her and I've been this and that and the other," or if you are hanging out with a bunch of dudes that are watching porn all the time, or any type of lustly activities they're involved in, you are walking with them because in some way, shape, or form you are agreed with them, right? Go ahead.
This is John chapter 6, verse 63. It is the Spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
So Yahushua said, the Spirit quickens you, the flesh doesn't profit anything. The words that he speaks are spirit and life. So when it says walk in the Spirit and you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh, Yahushua just said that the Spirit is the word. When you're walking in the word, then you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. Right? So when he says to be set apart, when the Most High says be set apart over and over and over and over and over, when you start setting yourself apart over and over and over, you're gonna stop fulfilling the lust of the flesh more and more and more, just because of the simple fact that you have less opportunity to do so, because you're setting yourself apart from that, right? You got a precept?
I was just going to keep going in Galatians 5 and 17. Galatians chapter 5, verse 17. It just goes along with what the Ak is saying. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would.
So sometimes you read the word, right? You read the word and you're like, man, I really want to do this. But the flesh is opposite, is contrary, it is against the word. So then you're out here hanging with fleshly, worldly people. Maybe you're hanging out with half naked women, or you don't even have to be hanging out with them, right? Let's see, you're just around them.
Yep.
Like you got so-called brothers that are in the clubs all the time. We know how women dress in the clubs. We know how women dress at the store.
At the stove, bro. I saw them today when I was grocery shopping.
At Walmart, at HEB, at the stores that you go to, at the mall, wherever you go, I guarantee you're gonna see half naked women every single place you go. So imagine in the club.
Yep.
And imagine when alcohol and pharmacia
yeah.
and weed and pills and all this other stuff is involved. You are setting yourself up for failure by doing that. So you can either be set apart, or you could set yourself up for failure by not being set apart.
I can't even think of the book, chapter, verse, but another book. In the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, to go along with the ox says, it's like that one verse. If anybody knows, you can drop it in the chat. But it says, "Who will pity a charmer that is bitten by a serpent?"
Con,
If you
con,
put yourself in that position, then it's over with.
con. It's
This man
12.
said that.
Sirach 12. Sirach 12 and 13. Con, the brother said, at the damn stove.
Man, bro, I was at the store today, bro, and the ox see it all the time. I mean, I was with the ox one day. He was like, "Bro, look at this foolishness, bro." I was like, "Oh no, dog, not at the store, bro." And it's crazy, man. Some people shouldn't even be wearing stuff. That's all I'm gonna say. But this is Sirach chapter 12, verse 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? Verse 14. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? So if you put yourself in that position by not being set apart, then who can you really sit there and be mad at? I was just talking to my rib earlier today when Sabbath started, and I said one of the biggest things that people have a hard time doing, but this will teach you if you really mature or not. If you get to a point finally where you can fully be responsible and accept the consequences to your actions, whether it's good or bad, then you'll finally grow. So if you sit here and the Bible tells you 600 and what, 30 something times, you said
I think 81.
681 times to be set apart, to be separate, right? And you choose not to, and then you get defiled in the process, then who do you think the Most High is gonna like laugh at? You feel what I'm saying? Like he's not gonna, yeah, obviously he can have compassion on you if you want to, but he's not gonna spare somebody who just knows what they're supposed to do, right? And they don't do it. The servant that knew what he was supposed to do and didn't do it, he get beat with many stripes.
Con, con. Let me get one precept real quick.
Con.
Fast.
I got a battle being set apart every single day at work. It's not as bad as it was when I first started working there, but it's a everyday thing, man. You'd be surprised how many vexations it is in that one building.
Con. Con. I can't find the precept right now, but it's in Sirach where it says, he who fasts for something and then goes and does the same, who will hear his prayer?
Con.
Right? Like a lot of people will sin and they sincerely feel bad about it, right?
Yeah.
But then they put themselves in the same position to do the same thing over and over and over. If you can get Sirach 13 real quick.
Sirach chapter 13
and 15.
This is Sirach chapter 13, verse 15. Every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor.
Go ahead.
All flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. What fellowship hath the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the godly. What agreement is there between the hyena and a dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor?
So it says every beast, and remember, like in Revelation, what is it, 22, I think 14 or 15, it says that, or 15, it says that those that aren't keeping the commandments are dogs.
Yep.
Right? So the Most High calls people who are not moving in wisdom beasts many times. But like in Ezekiel 31, I believe, where he says all the beasts of the field were under the Pharaoh. He's talking about people that aren't moving in wisdom. So this says every beast loves his like, and every man loves his neighbor, and everybody is assorted according to their kind. You're going to cleave to the people that you are most like. So anybody that you hang out with, you're going to be like them, right? And that's why it's so important to be set apart, because a lot of people think it's like in I can't remember which song it is, but one of Immortal Technique songs where he says that a lot of people will like go into the system to try and change the system, but then the system ends up changing them.
Yep.
And that's because we're not called to go and in the midst of being of a bunch of wicked people and be try to be not set apart, because that's what you're doing. Right? So you are required to shine your light, but it's like mosquitoes in the dark. Are you gonna go with the light and go look for mosquitoes? Or do the mosquitoes come to you when they see the light in the dark? It's the opposite, right?
They come to you.
So I've heard multiple people say before, well, yeah, how should I sat with sinners though, Ak? That's true, but guess what? Me, this brother, and none of y'all are Yahushai.
Yeah, I ain't got that much spiritual fortitude.
Khan. And we're not called to be a part of the world, right? In the sense of, let's say, for example, how's it gonna look if me and this brother are teaching right now, and then tomorrow night we're in the club with a bunch of naked chicks?
With a bunch of bottles.
It's not gonna look. It's gonna give a bad look to not just us, but anybody who's claiming what we claim as far as being Israelites, right? Which is why
Mm-hmm.
Paul said in Corinthians, give offense in nothing, that the ministry be not blamed,
Yep.
right? Because let's say we're saying, oh, we're Israelites and we're this and that, and we're teaching at what's it called, market days or something,
Okay.
and then they see us in a club the next day, and they're like, wait, hold up, though,
Weren't y'all just teaching out there talking about repent?
right? So we have to understand that being set apart is a protection for us, and especially in these days that we're living in right now, like we said, when it comes to lust, for all the brothers and even a couple sisters that have reached out and said, they're struggling with that, the biggest and best thing or best advice I can give you is to be as set apart as possible from anybody who causes you to lust, from anybody who is moving in a spirit of lust themselves, right? Because that's going to wear off on you. But then to take it even farther, a lot of you brothers, which I've given advice to, you need to get off of social media for a period of time too if you can't handle it.
Okay.
Because a lot of times what I'll hear is, oh, well, it's because I saw this on social media and that just triggered it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
it was all downhill from there.
Kind. And
Go
this is
ahead.
just to go along with what the Ak is saying, talking about being set apart, right? This is Psalms chapter 101 and verse 3. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside, it shall not cleave to me. So that means that you're not supposed to put anything wicked in front of your eyes. Because like the Ak has said many times before when me and him would have conversations, right? And I've learned this through my own self-examination and how it used to happen to me as well too. Because everybody can fall victim to this. If you see something, like if you just scrolling down social media and you see something and you weren't even looking for it, if you go back and entertain it, literally whatever spirit is on that will hop on you. And then now all of a sudden you got a bunch of weeds, kind of like in the garden, you got a bunch of weeds in your mind growing, these wicked thoughts in your mind growing, and it's trying to eat you, it's trying to pop up like thorns and choke you out until you start plucking them out. If you know anything about gardening though, if you let the weeds grow long enough, then it gets even harder for you to even pull them out. Just translate that to thoughts. If you let the wicked thoughts grow long enough without doing something about it, right? If you put yourself in that position, it's going to be way harder for you to separate yourself and set yourself apart than if you just did it in the first place to avoid being in that position.
Calm, calm. And going back to martial arts with the same concept, it's like, okay, if I some of y'all may not understand this, right? But like in jiu-jitsu or in wrestling or in MMA, if I as soon as I start taking your back, the longer you wait to start defending it, the harder it's gonna be.
Yep.
Because once I get the position and I
Yep.
get my grip,
Yep.
it's gonna be super. And then if I get my hooks in and actually take,
Yep.
right, it gets worse and worse and worse. So it's the same thing with, like you said, having weeds or thoughts in your mind, as far as whether it be lust or anything like that. The longer you leave them there, the longer you entertain them, the more deeply rooted they're gonna get, and it's gonna be harder to pull them out.
Take that to the bank.
So the way to not let that happen is don't set wicked things in front of your eyes, because they're gonna cleave to you if you allow them to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a long time ago, Jomar had posted something. I think it was on his story actually, where it's like the little search on Instagram.
The little search bar.
Yeah, the search. You know how
Yeah.
it'll show like a whole bunch of different, just
Oh
random
yeah, just on the explore
random stuff.
page.
Yeah, explore page. There you go. He showed something, showed me and everybody else something. How I didn't know, if you see something you don't like, if you click on it or you like hold down on it,
Oh yeah.
it'll say like you're not interested,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll actually hide it, and it won't show you nothing like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for a lot of you brothers that have problems looking, whether it be chicks dancing or chicks in bikinis or half naked or whatever the case may be, All you have to do is literally don't set that wicked thing before your eyes, and don't
Yeah,
let the spirit cleave to you. You can actually hide that and put you're not interested in that, and it's gonna stop showing you posts like that.
absolutely. And the only reason why you wouldn't do it if you brothers out here not doing it is because you like it. So
Con.
it's one or the other. Either you do it or you don't.
And that's the battle of the spirit and the flesh right there.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and get First Corinthians 10 and 13.
Uh,
First Corinthians 10 and 13. And just another side note, I've said this before, and I've given this advice to many brothers that have struggled with like pornography and things like that. There is so many different either free or paid apps you can get that will block that type of content from your phone. So if
mm-hmm.
you're really sincere about not looking at stuff, if you're struggling with stuff like that, that's something that you can very easily put on your phone. And let's say you got a friend you live with, or you got, even if it's say your rib, your brother, whatever the case may be, give them the password
Yep.
so you can't even unlock it,
Yep.
right? The brother said there's always a choice. Fight the flesh to do what's pleasing to the Most High.
You
Khan.
always got a choice, man.
Khan.
Always. You
Choose ye this day who you will serve.
and it's crazy because even if you don't make a choice, you still choosing to not do nothing.
Khan.
So it's a choice either way.
Khan.
There's
Go
no
ahead.
way around it. This is First Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But Yahweh is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it.
So every temptation that you're going through, brother, every temptation you're going through, sister, is something that is common to man. Meaning, somebody else, multiple people, probably close to everybody, has been through the exact same temptation. And there has been people that have passed that test and not given in to that temptation. Why? Because the Most High is faithful, and He's going to give you a way to escape. He's
Mm-hmm.
going to give you a way to bear it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always an escape, right? Even if you're bearing something, that means you may have to bear it for a time,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then there's gonna be a way, if you bear it, to escape. Or it's like what you said the other day when we were rolling, remember? Because the brother said there was, I'm not putting you on the spot out,
Nah,
but
you go
just
ahead, bro. You can go ahead,
for truth's sake, right?
bro.
And this happened to me too when I first started training, right? When you're doing jujitsu, which is like submission wrestling, basically, right? When you're newer to it, there comes a point in time where, let's say you're tired, and you kind of just like, oh man, F it, I can't get out of this,
Yeah,
right?
you kind of mentally give up.
You mentally give up, which leads you to physically give up, and you just tap, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then once you get a little bit of wisdom, you realize, like, okay, wait, if I just breathe for a second and relax, I don't spaz out, I bear it
Yep.
for a little while,
Yep.
there's gonna be a way to escape. I just gotta wait for the right moment.
Eventually, it'll all blow over.
Right? So, but it all starts in your head first, because a lot of times, brothers or sisters, and I've been guilty of this in the past, especially in the world, to where you're just like, I know this is wrong, F it, I'm giving in. Right? Am I right?
You ain't told no lie, bro. You was completely right.
So that you have to bear it for a short period of time, or sometimes it may feel like a long time, right?
Man, the Most High will make it feel like a long time.
But at the same time, he is not going to suffer you to be tempted above what you're able to do, right? Oh, the brother put a precept there. You want to read it?
Con. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. I'm so glad you put that verse up there, Barzayah, because I'm not even joking. I was literally just telling my rib this and a sister the other day. I was like, look, like I don't care what you say. The Most High did this on purpose, right? This is part of the Most High's omnipotency, right? He set up everything for a specific reason. There is no such thing as not making a choice. Like, you always make a choice whether you choose to do something or whether you choose not to do something. I don't care how you want to slice the pie, right? It's literally that every single time. So when he says there is no in between, there is no lukewarm, like, there is a choice with everything that you do. So it's either, like how the ox said before, the Bible is written in a way where either you follow it or you don't. You feel what I'm saying? Either you choose to be set apart or you choose not to. Either you choose to entertain the thought or you choose to not entertain it. Either you choose to keep the Sabbath or not to keep the Sabbath. You're going to make a choice either way.
Con, con. You want to get James 1 and 12 real quick as well?
Con.
Just to go along with that.
I know that verse verbatim by my heart.
Con. Warriors Dream, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to everybody on here right now. And Khan, all praise to the Most High.
This is James chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation.
So sometimes you have to endure the temptation. Go ahead.
For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which Yahweh hath promised to them that love him.
So it's just like in MMA, I remember my first real MMA coach, he would always say, you're only as good as your last fight, or you're only as good as your last match, right? And there's certain people that, let's say maybe they don't have a crown on, but they would have a belt. Let's say you're the champ, right? You have to see each temptation or each day as like a test. And you're blessed when you endure temptation. So anytime temptation comes, you have just like the brother posted in Deuteronomy 30 and 19, right? You have life and death. And if you keep reading, it'll say you have blessings and curses.
Mm-hmm.
If you choose to follow the Most High, it leads to life, it leads to blessings. If you choose to go against him, it's going to lead to cursing. And if you continue down that path, it's going to lead to death, right? So saying all that to say, when it says if you're tried, you receive that crown, you got to look at every day as like, okay, today I had this temptation, and maybe you won that fight, right? You got the crown on. But I'm sure any of you brothers that watch MMA or boxing or anything like that, nobody's champion forever.
Oh, no.
Right? Nobody's gonna know every time. Even the best fighters in the world, who did you say is like the most known boxer or fighter? Probably Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson.
I often say Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Joe Frazier, Roy Jones.
Right. So all of these people are known as champions. Right.
Yep.
Let's go with Mike Tyson.
Iron Mike.
Mike Tyson's record was 50 wins and 6 losses. He lost 6 times, but he's probably still known as the greatest.
Yep.
Or one of the greatest in the world, right? Muhammad Ali, 56 wins and 5 losses.
You win some, you lose some.
Right? But the point is, because I've made videos on this before, but a brother asked me not so long ago too. He was like, well, if we're not, he said he had seen a post where I said, we're not all sinners, but we all sin. Right? And it's just like that. It's like Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. I remember one time when I was younger and they were the best team. I think they had won like 70 games. And you only have 81 games, I think, back then in the season. Yeah. So they won 70, but they still lost 11.
Yep.
Right? So we're not saying you're going to be perfect and you're never going to mess up. None of us are perfect, right? The only one that was perfect was Yahushai.
Man.
But at the same time, you have to be winning way more battles than you're not winning. And again, to set yourself up to win the battles, what do you have to do? You have to be set apart. Because the more you set yourself apart, the more you're setting yourself up to win those battles. Or to not even have to fight, right? If you want to get 2 Timothy 2 and 22 real quick.
Okay.
2 Timothy 2 and 22.
It's just like how they said in the world, man, there's many battles in a war. You got to focus on the war, win the actual war. There's multiple battles you got to go through.
Calm.
You're going to win some, you're going to lose some.
Calm. And what we would teach all the children, I've mentioned this before, at bullying seminars that we would do, like for jiu-jitsu or MMA bullying seminars, we'd always ask them, so what's the first thing you need to do if you're dealing with a bully? And it'll be like, take him down, choke him out, like hit him, push him, whatever, right? And we're like, no, you try and get away from the situation first.
Exactly.
It's way easier to just get away from it than have to actually fight and deal with it.
Oh man. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 22. Flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart.
It says, flee youthful lusts. What does flee mean?
Well, it means to run away as fast as you can.
Flee youthful lusts. Run away from a place or situation of danger. That's the definition, the Oxford Dictionary definition of flee. Run away from a place, if it's a wicked environment,
Yep.
or situation of danger. So if you know every time you're around a certain place or a certain person, a certain environment, a certain group of people, and you're giving into lusts,
Yep.
or you're falling into the spirit of lust, whether it be even every time I get on social media or every time I get on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, whatever the case may be, TikTok, right? I don't know if I told you, but I've told other brothers as well. Like, they'll be like, "Oh, do you have a TikTok?" And I was like, "Man, I got it. I posted one thing, and then like I don't even. I guess it's like an explore page type of thing. I wasn't following no one, and all it was just like chicks shaking their ass.
Yeah, I never got back on it. I ain't gonna lie
So
to you.
that's what I did. So I erased it, and I was like, I'm never getting that again, because that's literally, I must have scrolled for like, I don't know, maybe 60 seconds, and that's
man.
literally all I saw.
It's crazy because I was reading this same verse in a different translation, just cross referencing, and exactly what you said, like the meaning of flee. And when it says youthful lust, it means to flee anything that stimulates lust in like within you. Anything that stimulates or starts up or kindles that fire of lust, get away from it.
Because a small little kindle can start a huge fire.
Yeah,
Right?
man.
If we light a match and this field back here or this field back here,
Fire can fuck up
right,
everything.
it's gonna burn acres and acres. So it says, flee youthful lusts, and instead follow what? Righteousness, faith, charity, peace, and you're not gonna be at peace when you're not set apart.
Hell no.
Because the more you set yourself apart, the more peaceful you're gonna feel. Trust me. If you want to get a Sirach 21 and 2, we'll get two more scriptures on lust, and then we'll jump to the next one.
Lust is a big one though. That's
Yeah,
the thing. I feel like lust starts up a lot of stuff. Lust is why people die in the world. You know what I mean? It's like it says in James, you lust and you have not. Because you lust and you kill. You lust and you steal. You lust for all these things.
Come.
You said Sirach 21 and 2.
Come.
This is Sirach chapter 21, verse 2. Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. For if thou comest too near it, it will bite thee. The teeth thereof are as the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of men.
So, like the brother just said, lust kills many people, right? Lust will cause you to do all types of crazy stuff. Lust will cause you to commit adultery, which you would have been stoned to death back then.
Yep.
Right? Lust will cause men to waste all their money. I had a cousin that not too long ago, he was calling, asking family members for money because he moved and he went and wasted all his money, his rent money, on a strip club.
No, not the strip club, bro.
I never understood that, because
come on,
that's
man,
like,
it ain't that serious, man.
one of my cousins, or actually one of my uncles, had told me when I was little. He was like, a strip club, I imagine strip clubs are like hell, because it's like you could look but you could never touch. And when I was super young, like I didn't even know, I think I was probably like 10 or 11, you know what I mean? Like I knew what a strip club was, but I didn't really get what he said. God. And ever since then, I never understood that, bro. I was just like, how are you gonna?
When I turned 18, I went to this is me back in the world, y'all, so don't judge me. I was 8 when I turned 18 years old. I went to the strip club one time ever in my life, and that was the moment that I realized I was never gonna go again. I
Con.
got the drunkest I've ever been. I realized how much money I wasted, and then I realized, and I lost my phone downtown, and I ain't find it till like 2 days later. Crazy, but that all taught me literally. Like I remember, I said it out of my mouth. I said, "Wow, it's literally meant for you to get drunk and spend all your money."
Con. Most definitely. And that's all those spirits in there as well. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they call alcohol spirits, right?
Yeah.
So Sirach 21:2, it says, flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. I guarantee you, the majority of people, if y'all were over here and you saw a snake, like me and my rib saw
Like me in the barn.
oh, con, or like that. Yeah, 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 like that. Y'all would flee from a serpent if you saw it. The majority of people aren't going to try to kill it. They're not going to try to
Mm-mm.
anything, right?
Mm-mm.
We saw a rattlesnake not too long ago, a pretty big one in the street, and I mean we just drove by that thing,
I ain't gonna play with you.
right? Last year I killed that big snake, but that's just because he was stealing our eggs, right? The majority of the time I ain't even gonna mess with them.
Mm-mm.
You're gonna flee from a serpent because if you come too near it, it's gonna bite you,
Mm-hmm.
and its teeth are like the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of men. So lust being the topic that we're currently talking about, you have to flee from lust. And the Most High knows if you're actually trying to get away from lusting because
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna see if you're actually fleeing from lust.
Mm-hmm.
You could say like, man, I really don't want to do this. There's a difference between feeling bad about something and actually being convicted of something, because when you're convicted, you're gonna stop doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're gonna stop. Like, let's say, oh, for an example, right, extreme example, let's say there's a dude and he's beating his wife,
Mm.
and he's like, man, I feel so bad, right? But he keeps doing it.
Yep.
If you're convicted, you're gonna stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with the Most High and with especially lust, right? So let's go to Genesis 39. Read about Joseph real quick, and then we'll jump to the next one. But Khan, I like that verse, that Deuteronomy 30:19,
Con.
right? I call heaven and earth to record this day against you. And notice it says against you,
Yeah.
right? The Most High he's telling you, look, you know you have life and death on each side.
Yeah. Make a choice.
So whatever you do, it's going to be held against you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like when you get arrested, they say anything you say can be used against you
It
in the
will.
court of law. Anything you say is going to be used. Anything you do is going to be used.
Absolutely, because they press that little recorder things when they walk up on you.
Con.
Be mindful of what you say.
Genesis 39:7.
Con, this is Genesis chapter 39, verse 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me.
So this is when Joseph went into slavery and his master made him the head person in his house, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he's the top dog besides him. And his wife, his master's Joseph master's wife said, "Hey, come and lay with me. Come and have sex with me."
Crazy. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand.
He said, "Everything in this house, he's made me basically the master over when he's not here. He put everything in my hands."
There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against Yahweh?
So he said, "There's nobody greater than him in that house. The only thing he held back from me is you because you're his wife. So how could I lay with you and sin against the Most High? Because we know you're not supposed to commit what, adultery, right? It's the
Exactly.
seventh commandment. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her.
So it said day by day. She was telling him day after day, trying to get
Mm-hmm.
Joseph to sleep with him. Go ahead.
And it and it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within.
So one day he went in the house and there was nobody else there. It was just him and his master's wife.
And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out.
So she grabbed him, knowing no one was there. She grabbed him by the clothes and said, "Lie with me." So
Give it to me.
nowadays, right? Nowadays, it's like a chick just grabbing you and come on,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what did he do? He ran so quick it ripped his garment and left it in her hand. He
Mm-hmm.
fled and got him out. He ran out the house. That's the perfect example of fleeing from temptation,
Mm-hmm.
fleeing from sin, like if it was a serpent,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she still tried to get him in trouble later, but
Mm-hmm.
we know the Most High was with him
Yep.
and worked for him,
Absolutely.
right? So the two best things when it comes to lust is, number one, try to be as set apart from it as possible, right? But we know when you come to serve the Most High, you have to prepare yourself for temptation, like it says in Sirach, the second chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, even being set apart, you may run into a situation where you literally have to flee from that temptation.
Yep.
And the majority of people that I've talked to, or not, maybe not the majority, many people I've talked to in the past aren't willing to just be completely set apart or just flee from the person or place or environment or people that are causing them to either lust or sin, right? So let's go ahead and jump to Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 4. So the next one is envious or jealous people, right? Envy or jealousy.
This is Proverbs chapter 27, verse 4. Wrath is cruel, and anger is outrageous. But who is able to stand before envy?
So wrath is cruel, anger is outrageous, but guess what? Envy is actually worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because because of envy, people will kill their own friends, their own family,
Mm-hmm.
right? They'll steal from you,
Mm-hmm.
they'll set you up,
Mm-hmm.
they'll do all manner of wickedness just because they are jealous.
True story. They'll tell people your secrets. They'll try to blemish your image and try to tarnish your name and you name it. Envy will
Con,
make you do some stuff that you ain't even know that they was capable of doing.
con. That's why it says, who is able to stand before envy? If you could get Proverbs 14 and 30.
Con.
So who's able to stand before envy? So should you be standing before envy, or should you set yourself apart from people that you know are envious?
I'm gonna set myself apart. I had to set myself apart from one of my bestest, closest of friends that I used to be cool with in the world, man. I grew up with this man. We was cool for like 10 plus years. Come to find out within like the 10th or 11th year, the Most High made some things happen. Proverbs 16:1, answer the tongue, to where he revealed to me that he was envious the whole time. And I started picking up on old things that he used to do, and I picked up on new things too, where it showed me like, oh, that's how all the information been getting out.
Con,
Okay.
con. When somebody is envious and you're actually doing things, when you're striving to start following the Most High, or if the Most High has chosen you, right? He's gonna start showing you things so you can understand and see and judge and discern the people that are around you. Because how are you going to be, a lot of times, even if you're in the world, the Most High is going to show you wisdom, like it says, we walk with you in crooked
Yeah,
ways,
she'll walk with you while you live in a crooked lifestyle just to see if you got enough common sense.
right? So the Most High will start revealing little things to you, and as you start picking up on them,
Mm-hmm.
right, you're going to start seeing like, okay, this is something that I need to be set apart from.
Yep.
These are people I need to be set apart from. How come every time I'm around this person, then this type of thing happens?
Or I start acting like this, or I go through a certain situation, or I lose a
Con,
job whenever we get a job together. I keep getting fired, like crazy.
Connor, it's like the video that I had just made on Instagram, just talking about there's people that no matter, we all know people like this. No matter what, it seems like drama always comes when they're around. Like no matter, like let's say this brother's around the person, or this brother's talking and drama comes, or I'm talking to them and then drama comes, and then another brother's talking and then drama comes,
Mm-hmm.
and then you hear that they were over here with this other brother and like, man, bro, and then this, and you're like, you know what? What is the common denominator in all of these situations?
That person.
Right? It could be a person, it could be a place, it could be a group of people.
Yep.
Right? But the Most High, this is why you should pray for the discernment to be able to see these things, right? And that's like I was reading with my rib and a sister the other day, in First Kings chapter 3, when the Most High asked Solomon, "I'll give you," he said, "I'll give you anything you want. What do you want?" And he asked for discernment to judge, understanding and discernment, so he could judge between good and evil. Right? That's something we should all be praying for, so that we could see, like, okay, maybe you think somebody or something is good for you, but then the Most High gives you some clearer discernment, and then you realize, oh damn, if I was just set apart from this person, these people, this thing, this environment, this group, I could have avoided this and this and this and this.
Things start to become a lot more clear to you.
And I know that, like they say, hindsight is 2020, right? But that's why we have to learn how to discern and judge every single day, just like the Most High judges us every day.
Yeah.
Right? We have to learn and to discern things and people and places every single day. Right? Because let's put it this way: what's good for you today might be bad for you tomorrow.
True story.
Right?
True story.
But 14 and 30, Bakusha.
This is Proverbs chapter 14, verse 30. A sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones.
So a sound heart is the life of the flesh. Have you ever, or I'll ask you, have you ever been around somebody or a group of people, and now all of a sudden you don't have a sound mind no more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too. I can think of a few, at least a few.
Automatically, I can automatically think of a few people or a group of people I used to be around. My mind would just like go somewhere completely different.
And that's because the spirits that are there and that are around are not allowing you to have a sound heart or a sound mind, right? And that's why in 2 Timothy 1 and 7 it says the Most High doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but he gives us a spirit of having a sound mind.
Absolutely, and he's not the author of confusion either. I can't think straight when I'm confused, or my brain it feels like it's moving a mile a minute.
Or you're around certain people or environments, and all of a sudden there's no more soundness, there's no more peace in your mind. Right? And then look what it says: but envy the rottenness of the bones. So when you're around people that are envious, right, like it said in Proverbs 27:4, it said, who's able to stand before or in front of envy? Now this one says envy is the rottenness of the bones. What happens when you have an apple in a bag of apples and one of them starts rotting?
It's gonna touch the rest of them, and it's gonna do the same thing.
And it's gonna infect it, right? So it says a sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones. When you're around, just like we read in Sirach 13, whoever you're around, you're gonna start being like them. So when you're around envious people, it's rottenness, and it's just gonna start going to you and to the next person, and the whole group is infected now.
Man, that's crazy, and that's literally, when you think about it, that's why it's so easy for people to like. I'll just give an example to better explain it. You ever hang around somebody in the past, in your worldly days, and just be like that? You never had a problem with somebody, but just because, but just because that person got a problem with somebody, now they convince you to have one too. And you ain't never even talked to this person a day in your life.
You don't even know that person.
Don't even know that person from a can of paint. And it's just like, you just because you around them, no, they influence you. And it's like how the Aqua was just saying, though, whoever you around, you're gonna be like them. I made a post like that a long time ago on Instagram, probably a few months ago, but I was like, you get a really good idea of who you are as a person and how the Most High views you based off of who he allows to be in your inner circle. You know what I mean? Whoever you dwelling with on a day-to-day basis, that tells a lot about who you are to yourself. And if people who have eyes to see, they can see who you are. You know what I'm saying? So if you hang around envious people, you're gonna be jealous just like them, or the same people that you don't even know. It's just funny though.
Could you get 1 Corinthians 5 and 11? 1 Corinthians 5 and 11. Kingdom minded. Shalom, Mark. Shalom.
Shalom, brother.
Hope all is well with you. Martin and Kayla Anderson. Shalom. Shabbat shalom. If y'all are observing the Shabbat today. But yeah, and that's it's funny you say that because that's happened to me in the world, right? But it's happened to me
In the truth.
in the truth
Yep.
as well, because
Yep.
there was certain brothers, say maybe 2 years ago, even 3 years ago, even as much as maybe like a year and a half ago, where I had really cool relationships with multiple brothers in different camps, right? But one camp specifically, I knew, and I'll even say, so like, I got a question that might think go with this class. Kanak, ask it if you want, and we'll get back to it. Um, there was I knew multiple brothers from Sakari that I was super cool with, and like in different cities, they were from different affiliations, I guess you would say. And at one point, like I've said before, we were looking to possibly be an affiliation down here in South Texas. And long story short, these brothers started unfollowing me, stopped talking to me and stuff like that. And I didn't really realize, like, oh man, they're not talking to me, until one brother told me, like, oh yeah, you know what? They said, like, nah, don't deal with that brother. Don't listen to that brother because this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And it's cool because at least one brother had, the testicular fortitude
To
to
sit
be
there and
like,
come to you.
hey, you know what? This dude or this higher up person said, hey, you shouldn't be following him. You shouldn't be reposting his stuff, whatever the case may be, right? But it just goes to show you that who can stand before envy,
Nobody,
right?
man.
And enviness is rottenness, and that rottenness, like the brother said, I'm sure it's happened to everybody, where it's like, hey, man, I don't like that dude. You're like, why? What happened? Oh, well, this happened, and you don't even know the whole matter, right? It's like the scriptures say, if you answer a matter before you've heard
It's
the whole
folly.
matter, it's folly. You're stupid. You're foolish, right?
Yeah.
But that happens all the time, to where it's like, nah, don't deal with that brother, and you're like, Khan,
I'm gonna automatically assume that he ain't shit,
right? I'm not gonna prove for myself. I'm not gonna look well to my goings, right? I'm just gonna believe it, and that's that. And that's perfectly fine, though. I understand why people do that, right? But at the same time, there's certain brothers and sisters that have had discernment and have came to me as well and been like, hey, this type of thing is happening, and you know what? I'm not dealing with that. I don't care what somebody says. Like, if you're solid with me, then that's how it's gonna be, like, on my end.
That's how it should be. You would think that it's supposed to be like that. I like what he said. That's very true, though. Kingdom Minded said some real stuff.
See, that's what I don't get. A brother is telling other brothers not to follow him, but their leader is not the Most High. Khan, and that's what it comes down to, though. Their leader is not the Most High. Their leader is their leader.
Exactly. It's like, for example, right? You can tell me if you read this chapter the same way I view it. If y'all ever read it's either First Samuel or Second Samuel chapter 8, when Israel was asking for a king to be put over them.
Oh, Khan.
Right. I look at it like a quote unquote king's curse. They want a leader so bad, right? They want to follow man so bad instead of the Most High. If the Most High gave it to them and said, okay, since y'all want that, this is what's going to happen. This is what he's going to do to y'all. And that's, nothing new under the sun. It's still here today.
Khan.
You know what I'm saying? They treat man like that's the Most High.
Khan. It's First Samuel 8.
Yep.
Khan. That's something that's still, again, nothing new under the sun, right? So that's going to keep continuing to happen. And what it really comes down to is, like the brother said, the Most High is who you should be following. So if the Most High says, hey, you're supposed to prove all things, you're not supposed to believe something unless you hear both sides, or you know exactly what is what, right? And in reality, some of these brothers have even let me get this scripture, actually. Some of these brothers, and even a sister, it's happened with, where they'll say certain things, and there's scriptures that say, you're not supposed to receive an accusation against an elder without two or three witnesses.
Let everything be established,
right?
by 2 or 3 witnesses.
Everything's supposed to be established with 2 or 3 witnesses. So the fact that you'll just take that, and even if it's not about me, if it's about this brother, if it's about a sister, if it's about anybody, you're not supposed to just believe whatever you hear.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's gossip.
Tail bearing.
Con. Crazy a lot of sleep being scattered. Sheep being scattered. Yup, by that type of counsel.
Very true.
And it's true, but in the end, like the way I see it, I can't remember who had said it. It might have been the brother Jomar. It was years ago. someone said like you have the sheep and then you have the sheeple. Like the sheep are the ones following the Most High, and then the sheeple, they're people and they're sheep. They're still like in the flesh, you know. So they're following. They're just following whatever they want to follow.
They following they shepherd. They ain't following the good shepherd. They
Khan.
following they shepherd.
Khan, exactly. They're not following the good shepherd, right? But if you want to read 5 and
11.
Khan.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 11. But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner. With such a one, no, not to eat.
So now this is Paul telling the church at Corinth. He's speaking specifically to them about those that are so-called in the truth or of the faith, right? He's not talking about in the world, because these people already, he, like he said, he speaks to them that know the law, right? He didn't have to keep saying. That's why you don't see Paul saying, like it says in Leviticus 20 and 26, like it says in that he was speaking to them that knew the law already. So now he's speaking specifically to those that are so-called of the faith. He's saying, don't, and he said, I've already written to you, right? Don't keep company or be hanging out with a brother, someone who calls himself a brother, that's covetous. Another word for covetous would be what? Envious, jealous, or a fornicator, which goes into lust, right? An idolater, a railer, a drunkard. And when you look at railer, one of the main like definitions of it would be someone who's always talking shit about other people,
like instigating, right? And basically trying to like start things or sow discord.
Khan, exactly. Or a drunkard, right? People that are always, they never want to be sober, right? With those type of people, don't even eat with those type of people. Go ahead.
For what have I to do to judge them also that are without? Do not ye judge them that are within? But them that are without, Yahweh judgeth. Therefore put away from among yourselves that wicked person.
So Paul said, for what have I to do to judge them also that are without? The people that are without the truth, that this is why it's very interesting to me, right? That isn't it crazy that all these people that, you know, claim to be Israel or teach and stuff like that, there's a lot of them that they have no problem with going out and yelling at people and saying they're going to be destroyed and they're 2/3 and all this stuff.
Kiss my boot.
Right? Do all this stuff where like they're moving in like an over righteous spirit, but then they're too, what's the, for lack of a better term, they're too chicken shit.
There you go.
To call out the people that are with them, whether it be in their camp, their congregation, their church, whatever the case may be, right? So Paul's saying, aren't you gonna judge? Look, everyone's judging them that are without. The Most High judges them that are without, but do not ye judge them that are within, right? So he's saying you got to judge the people that are inside your congregations too. And he says, therefore, put away from among yourself that wicked person. What wicked person? The fornicator, the covetous, the idolater, the railer, the drunkard, extortioner,
the hypocrite.
Any type of wickedness that people are creating, you're actually supposed to be set apart from that. It's not just those that don't know about the truth. It's those that claim to be in the truth as well.
Con. I think people overlook that a lot, man. When it says be set apart, right? I did a video on this recently on my Instagram where it says, be ye not unequally yoked. I think it's in 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians. Be ye not unequally yoked. Everybody always says that it's only talking about, you know, people who believe in Yahweh Shai from the sense of like, you know, they acknowledge that it exists, and people that don't acknowledge it. But in our reality, it's talking about doers versus not doers of the word. Talking about people who actually believe with their actions versus people who don't believe with their actions. It's talking about a bunch of different things. The hypocrite versus a doer, right? You're not supposed to be unequally yoked or going out to teach with people and street preach with people that you don't even mess with, for one. And you know that they ain't keeping the word to the best of their ability. Like I ain't gonna point nobody out, but my rib had told me about somebody that her parents used to congregate with and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that right there said it all. I was like, oh, it's literally exactly what we're talking about.
Con, if you want to get 2 Corinthians, I think it's 6:14.
Con.
The brother posted James 2:9. But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. Con. And that's a huge problem. It always has been a huge problem. And there's nothing new under the sun. So it's going to continue to be a huge problem. Just people having respect to persons. And like it says here, you're committing sin when you do such a thing. Because you're being a complete hypocrite when you're like, okay, I'm going to go call out all these people. But then somebody that's in your congregation, camp, church, whatever you want to call it, right? That you congregate with, and you have so much respect for them, you don't even say nothing just because, well, I learned from him. So,
but nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, man. Leave him alone.
But in reality, what you're doing inadvertently is hating your brother, because loving your brother, right, according to the law, Leviticus 19:16 and 17, is correcting them. Right? So by correcting them, you're actually getting the blood off your hands.
Yep.
Right? Number one. Number two, you're not having respect of persons, so now you're not sinning. And number three, you could be saving them, because if they take heed to it, and then they're like, you know what? You're completely right, Ak. Right? And then they repent of it. You helped, or the Most High used you to help save them.
Con. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? I always think of that same, was it Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25? It says, this is our righteousness if we keep the commandments of the Most High. So when it says, what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, right? What fellowship do you have with the hypocrite if you actually live out the scriptures? Real simple. Just ask yourself that question. What fellowship should you have with somebody that ain't living the scriptures to the best of their ability, as is written, from cover to cover, because lo, he comes in the volume of the book.
Con. And so it says, it basically is just saying, don't be around unbelievers. It's saying, be set apart.
Be set apart.
Right? And if you want to read 17.
Con, it's verse 17. Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you.
So if you be separate, what's another word for separate?
Be set holy.
Apart, be holy, then I'll receive you. And what else?
And will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith Yahweh Almighty.
So if you want the Most High to actually be your father, a father unto you, and you want to be a son of the Most High or a daughter of the Most High, what do you have to do?
Be set. Bro, you saying some heat right now. I'll praise it. Oh my gosh. You would think that the scriptures is so simple to understand, right? Like 2 Corinthians 11:3, the simplicity that is in Hamashiach, which he's the word that came in the flesh.
Con.
The scriptures really are simple to understand if the Most High give you eyes and ears to hear and see. But I don't know, man. People just make it harder on themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a choice. People, it's like how you started off the lesson with, right? All you gotta do is be set apart. But many people just don't want to make that decision. They love their situation so much, whether that's the world, whether that's misery, because misery loves company, whether that's I'm saying, whatever the case. Exactly. Whatever the case may be, man. It's so simple to do, but it's so hard for people to actually come to their realization.
And I think it's like Sirach 32, 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there, where it says a simple man will not be reproved.
Yep, but find an excuse according to his will.
According to his own will, because in the end, people just want to do what they want to do. So if you don't want if you want to do what the Most High wants you to do, you're going to start doing it. If you want to do what you want to do,
you're going to do it.
Then you're going to do it.
Isn't that what the Satanists believe? Do what thou wilt.
That's their first and main commandment. Do what thou wilt. So this is Sirach 32:17. A sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will.
Mhm.
In the end, if I could show you, all you got to do, if you have a Bible app, which if you don't have a Bible app on your phone, get a Bible app on your phone.
Something at least.
Right? If you're not carrying, most people aren't going to carry their Bible with them 24/7. I know you carry your phone with you 24/7.
Yep.
Get a Bible app on your phone, hit the search bar, and type in holy.
How many verses
Right?
gonna pop up?
608 on mine, which is the 1611. All right, the 1611, it has 681 times it says holy. Okay, 681 times. That's a crazy. If you don't think you have to be set apart, let's just put it this way, you are just finding an excuse according to your own will.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason, whatever your will is, you just don't want to do it.
Where does it say thou shalt not go to the strip club, Bach? Prime example.
Con.
It's a gentleman's club. It's not a strip club.
Con.
Oh my God.
Like the brothers that said Yahushua would be in the Yahushua would be in the club.
I would consider that blasphemy.
That was crazy. And I won't mention the brothers that would that said that, but there was some brothers that were making that point, and one of the brothers he's an elder brother, probably maybe 15 years older than me, and he went out. He was like, no, hold up, y'all are saying, and they were like, no, calm down, let him talk. No, hold up. Y'all are saying Yahushua will be in the clubs, man. Y'all are crazy. It's crazy. You're gonna find an excuse according to your own will, right?
Yeah, man.
Be careful, people. We give me Romans 8:30. Romans 8:30. There's a difference between free will and choices, right?
Absolutely.
So all I'll say on that, because that's gonna take us to a whole different couple hour lesson. Yeah. But what I'll say is none of us can get away from the Most High's predestination for us.
Book of Jonah.
Read the book of Jonah, the whole book, but go ahead.
This is Romans chapter 8, verse 30. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. And whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified.
So there are people who the Most High predestinated, and like it says, many are called, but few are chosen, right? Many people have been called to this truth. Many people have been called to this truth. But how many are actually striving to follow it? Right?
Very few.
Very few. So I was actually talking to my oldest daughter about this yesterday, right? Because we were talking about, like, she was mentioning how it says few will be saved, like a wave to a drop, or like a drop to a wave. Mm-hmm. Right? The drop is like the ones that are going to be saved. The wave is going to be like the ones that die. Mm-hmm. It says in 2nd Ezra, I believe, the 9th chapter.
Yeah.
And so we were just talking about, I was like, okay, let's put it this way, though. How many people do you know just have a Bible and they read it, that you know of? She was like, I don't think anybody.
Can't come up with that one.
Right? That have a Bible and read it. We're not even talking about try to follow it.
Just open it up.
Right? So then I was like, okay, so how many people do you know? If you don't know nobody who reads the Bible, then I guarantee you don't know nobody who's trying to follow the Bible. Right? So we can see, like, the list starts shortening, or the how would you say, like, the funnel gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah, it does.
Right? So those he predestinated, he called, and those he called, he justifies, and those he justifies, he glorifies. And it's like in I believe it's in Wisdom of Solomon, where it says the people that bring many to righteousness, that they're gonna shine like the stars in heaven.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I know you're talking about.
So there's hints, or like we can point at certain things that we can see, okay, that's a good sign that you may be chosen. The first thing is you woke up to the truth and you know the Bible's true. Yep. First thing, how many people can you talk to and say, do you think the Bible's real? Do you think it's actually wisdom? Do you think we should follow it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you read it? Are you striving to follow it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you abide by its dietary laws?
Yep.
That's one of the first ones, right? When you
Yep.
come into the truth.
Dietary and Sabbath.
Dietary and Sabbath probably the first two for most people.
Yep.
Just judging off of those, and then you start taking it farther. Okay, are you examining yourself? And the main thing, are you cutting off pride?
That's the big one right there.
Right?
That's the beginning of everything.
Because
So
that's the yeah, con, and we'll get to that in actually. Can you get what is it?
Sirach.
Sirach 13:1. Sirach 13:1 goes perfectly with this, right? Um,
Yeah, you got a major point though. Like, you got an absolute major point with that one.
Warrior's Dream. Similarly, I find that a lot of brothers give excuses for smoking weed. Okay,
Didn't you tell me about a story or something like that? Somebody said
con,
something like
con.
that.
So somebody, so there was a brother, and let me tell you, okay, it's like the serpent in the garden. It said the serpent was what?
Said the serpent was more subtle than any creature of the field. That word subtle.
Subtle.
Look at what that word subtle means. Look it up. I challenge you to Google that.
They're sneaky, right? They can make it sound good. Okay.
Appearance and shoot, what they say? Um, Everything ain't what it seems. All the glitters ain't gold, and everything that shine bright not a diamond.
Con, and even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light.
Yep.
So one thing that I heard a while back, and I was like, damn, I could totally see how if I was new in the truth, right? And because I was stuck on.
Yep.
I wanted to smoke weed, but I felt in my spirit like I was immediately convicted. For those of y'all who don't know, my rib actually learned of the truth before me, probably like 6.5 years ago, around there. And when she actually saw a video and some posts about weed, she didn't tell me, hey, you can't smoke weed no more. That's the most high. She didn't do that, right?
Most I gonna strike you.
Right. She wrote down some verses and she was like, oh, here. She wrote them down on a flashcard. She handed them to me one time when I was either smoking on the porch or I was breaking up some weed to smoke on the porch, right? When she gave it to me. and and she was like, just look at this whenever you get a chance, whatever, right? When I read those verses, I immediately felt convicted. Like I felt like, damn, I can't smoke no more. That's the first thing I thought. And I was pissed off. Like I was pissed off. I was mad at her because she showed it to me, but
like,
I knew,
damn, girl,
right? But at the same time, I couldn't really tell her like to be pissed off, right? So I was just, I quit smoking for like a week, and then I was like pissed off because anytime you're addicted to something and you get off of it, you're gonna have that.
You're gonna have that fiending effect.
Exactly. You're gonna have that
withdrawals.
Withdrawals. There you go. Right. But what one brother had said, and I immediately thought like, damn, I probably would have believed that if I was new to the truth when he told me. He said this, right? Is your body a temple? Because I was like, well, your body's a temple. You can't be smoking, like it's defiling your temple. It leaves a whole bunch of resin in your temple, right? And he was like, okay, so we don't the priests back in the day had a temple, but we don't have a temple no more, right? And I was like, nah, we don't. And he was like, okay, Khan, but your body's a temple now, right? And I was like, Khan, that's why we can't smoke. And he was like, okay, then how come the priests were lighting incense all in the temple?
No, the hell. Oh no, bro.
So he's like, if your body is the temple, right? So isn't that just like you're lighting incense in the temple, except you're inhaling it into your temple, right?
My gosh, I would have believed that, bro, if I would have first came in. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I wanted to smoke.
And that's the thing though. When you want to do it, it's like we just read in what was it, Sirach 32:17. It said you're gonna find an excuse according to what you want to do
to justify. Like, see, I could do it.
So when I heard it, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, damn, this brother could lead a lot of brothers astray with that doctrine. Right? And the brothers, he said,
Stone and talk. Literally, bro, stone and talk. He said, see, your body's a temple, so that means this right here. I bet he was high when he was saying it, too.
You know, he had just, like, ripped the bone or something.
He had to, but he was like, dang. Why they call it high whenever you be low?
so that's what the thing you need to think about though, and it's like the brother Nabala. I had talked to him about smoking weed not too long ago, and That brother said he was going to do a video on it. If he doesn't do it soon, then I'll do a video on it. Or maybe me and him can do like a quick, maybe like 30-minute or an hour live, just going into etymology and looking at the law, because in the end, where no law is, there's no transgression, right? That's Romans 4:15. If there's no law against something, then you're not transgressing the law and you're not sinning.
You're not living in sin.
Right? So it may be a bad idea, like there's some precepts, right, that say certain things that you can't back it up with the law, but you still do it. Like for example, having your head covered when you're praying for sisters, right?
Yeah, that's just tradition and culture.
That's culture, that's tradition. And you're not going to find in the law that says if thou coverest not thou head, you're sinning, right? Or it's an abomination, right? Is it still a wise thing to do? If, again, like I've said many times before, especially if you're a single sister, I would do it. Yeah. Right? Because it says you're dishonoring your head, which at that point it's the Most High, right? But if you're a husband, let's say your husband says your hair is down, to your waist. It also says in that same chapter that your hair is given as a covering. So actually, you're covered. Your hair is long, and you're covered with your hair. You know what? You don't have to cover your head while we pray or while we study together, right? So that's just an example. That's not a sin. So going back to the point, which is smoking weed, you have to go to the etymology of smoking and into witchcraft, and things of that nature, right? Because witchcraft or sorcery is actually,
that's Torah.
If yeah, which is Torah, right? You're not supposed to suffer a witch to live. You're not supposed to even go to someone who messes with sorcery, right? So obviously you can't dabble in sorcery or witchcraft either. When you look at sorcery and witchcraft and the definitions of it, it's to make something like an illusion of something that's not real. Okay, that's why like someone uses witchcraft and you start seeing things and it's not even real.
I was seeing shit one night when I got high.
Right? Yep. Or it makes you feel something that's not real, because let's say you're smoking weed or you're doing cocaine or you're on pills. That's not reality. It's just how you feel because you took something, right? So when they say you're high, you're up high, are you really up high?
No, you're really not.
You're not. You're actually experiencing an illusion or a delusion, which is a form of witchcraft or sorcery.
Yep.
Right? So if you're not, I know someone said, what about edibles? So it all comes down to this, right? If what are you doing it for?
Yeah, that's the main reason.
Because Sirach 38:4 says that the Most High made medicines out of the earth, and he that's wise will not abhor them. Right? So there was a point in time before my grandma died that we would give her weed. I would get weed, or my cousin would get weed, and we would put it in alcohol. It was Reggie. It wasn't none of this
with that boo-boo.
It's none of that crazy stuff that they got, the GMO stuff, right? Yeah. She would put it in her alcohol. She would rub it on her elbows, her knees, her feet, her hands, because she had real bad arthritis.
Oh man.
Right? And everybody, and my tias and everybody else, they thought weed was bad.
She had carpal tunnel type arthritis?
It would be to where it wasn't that bad, but to where like she would have to be moving them, opening and closing them all the time, or else it would like lock up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's happy with this thing sometimes.
So doing it for the right reason as well, right? Or like, let's say you got some of that oil and I used to get back spasms. If you're rubbing it there on your back or things of that nature, like the brother said, right? Yeah, I got a bad shoulder. Let's say you're rubbing the oil on your shoulder, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You're using it as a medicine, right? And for me personally, like I talk to brothers and sisters about this as well. I don't see, because there's no law. Where there's no law, there's no transgression. There's nothing wrong with eating herbs. Genesis 1:29 says, I give you every herb bearing seed. For you, it's meat. You can eat it.
You ain't making for no reason.
Right? And your body actually has an cannabinoid system, right? Just like your blood, your veins, right? What are they supposed to do? They're supposed to move your blood around, right? You have a, I believe it's called an endocannabinoid system. There's a
Yeah.
system that moves, that is made to move that through your blood. But the thing is, or through your body, Salakia. But again, are you doing it to get high?
Most people are.
Most people are doing it to get high. And another thing is, you don't have to take that much in order to feel the effects when you eat it, right? So you have to find a balance between, okay, I'm not high, and I can tell it's helping my back, my shoulder, my whatever the case may be, right?
Respiratory.
Respiratory. What do you mean by that? Respiratory. Warrior's dream, witchcraft. Then that's why some brothers say a woman's makeup is witchcraft. A woman's makeup.
That shit is definitely witchcraft because you got men out here that are transsexual and trans ABC alphabet
Oh,
community.
it's still on that.
Like you, I'm not even playing, dog. I saw a video of my rib the other day, bro, and I almost threw my phone out the window. I was like, bro, it's not fair in the playing field no more, man. When I was in the world, I kid you not, it says wisdom will walk with you by crooked ways. I had enough sense to know when to chill out because it wasn't fair no more, bro. I'm not even joking. Like you go to a club one night, you mess around, walk out with the wrong kind of person, and you gonna wake up and catch a body.
Con, for real. Respiratory. I was saying the system of the body. Okay,
I knew you was talking about respiratory system.
boy, your respiratory. So that's the thing. Look, the Most High said to finish with weed, right? And then we'll get back to pride. Um, to finish with weed. Two scriptures that always come to mind, or three really, right? Dealing with weed, and we could go into witchcraft and the law and all that, but that's gonna get more. That's gonna get more in depth than people, the majority of people at least, are able to understand.
Wisdom too heavy.
Right, and that's not me being prideful or nothing like that. I'm just being honest, right?
It's just being circumspect.
So we have to understand that the majority of people, you're going to deal with them on the level that they're at if you're sincerely trying to get them to understand. Right. So number one, going in order of how they are in the scriptures, Genesis 1:29, it says that the Most High made every herb bearing seed, to you it shall be for meat. Right, you don't light up meat. You don't get a piece of chicken or a piece of ribeye and burn it and smoke it. Right, you're never going to see nobody do that. So eating it is the first thing. The second thing, in the Apocrypha, Sirach 38:4, it says that the Most High made medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. Oh, look, August, it's 12:10 over here. Can you get Daniel 12:10 real quick? The water. Um, so if you're wise, you're not gonna abhor medicine, because there's some brothers that I've heard out here say weed is witchcraft. Weed is evil.
If you smoke it, yeah.
Right? You gotta be specific with it though. That's like saying, like, we know there's some brothers, all women are wicked, all women are defiled, all women are you can't be dealing with none of these women. I'll agree that a lot of them are,
yeah, not all of them,
but not all of them are, right? I know of 3 different sisters just in the past year that I've talked to, that they have told me they're virgins. If that's the truth, all praises to the Most High.
No cap.
And they're all in the faith, right? So you can't be saying all women are defiled, all women are wicked. If you get with any of these women in Babylon, you're gonna be destroyed and blah blah blah.
That's a man who hate women.
That's a man who's probably been hurt by a woman and he never let it go.
That's what you call a chauvinist or a misogynistic man.
Con. And I agree again. A lot, the majority of women.
Yeah, I give you that, because it says, 1 of 1,000, of the women none. So it's definitely more than 9. You know what I'm saying? More than not.
Con.
It is Daniel chapter 12, verse 10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
So the wise are going to understand certain things that they need to understand, but the wicked are just going to keep doing wickedly, and they're not going to understand. Why? Because Proverbs 20:12, it says that a seeing eye and a hearing ear both come from the Most High.
Yep.
So we can't get nobody to understand anything if the Most High hasn't opened their eyes and ears.
Part of you getting tried is you going to be set apart or not.
Con.
A huge part. Apart?
A huge part.
Yeah.
Right? The brother said, it was so hard for me to quit smoking weed. The Wada Abba by Hashem Yahweh Shai for the truth. Con. Con. It was for me as well until I made that vow. For those of y'all, maybe y'all have heard me say it before or not. I made a vow to the Most High
I
that I
think
would
we
never smoke.
I think we should do a live on vows one of these days.
Oh, con, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, con. I
Yeah.
was gonna go off into that real quick, but yeah, we should do that
Yeah.
maybe next week.
That's a deep one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cause if you really think about it,
Yeah.
yeah, never mind. That's gonna take.
I did a whole lesson on
Yeah,
my real one there. Yeah, we
con.
gonna do a live for that
So,
one.
Shawashai and Mock, he says most women are, and it's good that women outnumber men on earth. Con, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Most women are, but not all women. Anytime you say all, you know you're wrong.
Con.
You know you're wrong. But
Sirach 10.
Sirach 13:1, Baruch Shah.
Con.
So going
Sirach,
back to pride, right?
yeah. Sirach chapter 13, verse 1. He that toucheth pitch shall be defiled therewith, and he that hath fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him.
Anybody who touches pitch, you remember what pitch is, Hawk?
Yeah, pitch is it's crazy because that's actually what Noah used for the ark. Pitch is like, and it's like think of it like super sticky tree sap, or think about it like if you ever smoked weed, right? It's like that resin that you can't get off your finger and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But pitch is like 100 times more thicker and stronger than that. Pitch is something that you can use to like seal cracks and stuff if you needed to.
They use it for log cabins and
Like it's
stuff.
almost impossible for you to get it off of yourself if you touch it with your bare hands.
And if you get it on your clothes, you can't get it off your clothes.
You might as well just burn it off. It's not gonna come off.
You're gonna look dirty. Just use it for work, right?
Exactly.
So it says, "He that touches pitch shall be defiled therewith." So just like the brother said, there's certain types of sap. If you get it on your clothes, that's it. You can't wash it out of your clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's comparing touching pitch and being defiled with it. It says, "And he that fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him." So anytime you see men or even women that are moving in a spirit of pride, you have to, as quickly as you can, before you're completely defiled with them, you have to be set apart from them.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because if not, you're going to be defiled with that proud man, right? And that's like I've said many times on different lessons and things of that nature, and I've talked to and told brothers and sisters. There was a point in time where I was learning from two specific camps, and when I was learning from them, a lot of it, the majority of it was the truth, right? Maybe a couple things that now I can see, like, okay, that was a little bit off. But like the brother said, when the majority of something's true and a little bit of poison in there, that's all it's going to take to eventually add up, and it could kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing that I was being defiled with was pride, because the people that I was learning from, I was seeing them go out and teach and seeing the spirit that they were teaching in. And then I was going out with brothers and teaching the exact same way. In what way? In a prideful way.
Yeah.
So I literally went, when I finally figured this out, and I was like, damn, I can't watch these brothers no more, because it's always like, it seems like they're just so cocky and they're so prideful in the way that they teach. And then after that, and I stopped watching them and stuff, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back and watch these videos on my YouTube where we're out teaching and stuff. And I saw the exact same spirit on myself and on the brothers that I was teaching with. So I was like, man, I gotta take these down. Right? But like the brother Shawashai and Mock said, it's all praise to the Most High that we can see these things.
Cause that pride, bro. Man, pride is so deadly, man. Like, it's crazy because it really is the beginning of all sins. Like it says in Sirach chapter 10, pride is the beginning of everything. Every sin,
Get it?
every sin that you can even go to, like according to Torah, right? We know sin's transgression of the law. Every sin, if we start with the 10 Commandments, it revolves around something revolving around pride. The word "I" begins first. Like, I want to do this, I want to do that. That's all pride. This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from Yahweh, and his heart is turned away from his maker.
So let's say you come into the truth, you learn about the truth, etc. you're sincere, you're on fire, you're studying, and you're watching all the videos, and you're taking notes, and you're applying it, and all these things, right? But then your heart gets turned away from the Most High because you get prideful,
Oh
right?
man.
And that's happened in a lot of different. There's so many different ways I could tell y'all, but like, let's say for example, I think the first thing that well, with me at least, was you start thinking, or you start wanting to teach the Bible in a prideful way.
Yep.
Or you start, I know of some brothers and sisters even, that because they know the scriptures, they start getting prideful in dealing with their parents, and they start dishonoring their parents,
Thinking they hot shit.
right? Which is, again, you just start sinning. There's so many different sins that start with pride, because that's how it's like that. I don't know if you remember that meme, I posted it a couple times. It's a dude wearing armor, and
Mm-hmm.
right,
The arrow comes
right,
stick his
and he
head.
says he says I'm so righteous, I keep all the commandments, I don't break the laws. And then he's got that little tiny little eyepiece, right, where you
Stuck
can
your
see through the
head.
armor, and then it says the arrow's pride, and it goes right into his eye,
Stuck him right in his eye, man. And
right?
but like the ox said though, bro, that's how it gets you though, bro. Like it literally, you start like, for me specifically, right? It was actually the same thing too. Like you start teaching the Bible, and then it gets to a point where you realize that you go on a little streak, and the way that you begin to do it, you got to pause for a moment and be like, hold on,
Uh-huh.
what's my intention behind doing this right now? Am I doing it for this, or am I doing it for this? You know what I mean? Or like, and you know, I mean, self-examination is what it all comes down to all the time. Like, it sounds mundane at this point because I use that verse all the time when it talks about examine yourself, 2 Corinthians 13:5, right? But the first part literally says examine yourself. And a part of doing that, it comes with so much. You know what I'm saying? You have to be mindful of pride, because I don't care what nobody say. All sin is sin. It doesn't, you know, I'm not saying anything's, you know, worse than the other, but pride will be like the number one thing that gets you killed in the eyes of the Most High. The Most High will take you down that road, and you might not come back out of it if you don't catch yourself ahead of time.
Con. And that's why the scriptures say that pride is hateful before the Most High and men,
Why is earth and ashes proud?
right? So the brother Barzillai said self-examination is a must for real. Pride creeps in real smooth,
Like the devil.
right? And that's why First Corinthians 8:1, it says, knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. And that's like the brother just mentioned briefly. A lot of people, you could tell, and I was talking to a sister about this recently. I was talking to another brother about this recently. It says, knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth, right? When you see brothers puffed up teaching the word, they may be super knowledgeable. They may know all the script. Oh, give me this. They got three readers, and they're like, all right, give me Isaiah 58:1. Give me Revelation 14:12. Give me Genesis 13:8, right? And it's cool. It's good. You should know scriptures. You should have like scriptures under your belt and stuff if you're going to be teaching. But it says, knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth. You can tell when people are so puffed up that they don't care if they're edifying the person they're talking to. They're just trying to cut them up. They're
Yeah.
trying to prove that they have knowledge, which is why they're puffed up,
Yeah.
and they just want to make someone feel stupid.
They don't got no empathy, bro. It's just all about cutting somebody and proving a point.
Con. And that's not being a fisherman of men. Like I said many times before, any of y'all who have fished, you don't go out there, me, the brother, oh, let's go fishing right now in the dark, and we're over there yelling and blasting music or yelling at the fish, right? Jump on my rod. You're going to be destroyed, right? Like,
The Most High gonna kill your ass.
so I agree 100%. It said pride creeps in real smooth if you're not examining yourself, right?
Fine. I got a precept just to go with that too, because I've been meditating on this myself. All right, transparent moment. But 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 24 and 25 and 26. It says, "And the servant of Yahweh must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient." Which first, before I keep going, when it says the servant of the Lord must not strive, it just means you can't be contentious. So you're not supposed to be contentious with anybody, which only by pride cometh contention, right? But be gentle unto all men, right? And you must be skillful in teaching, which, yes, you should have scriptures under your belt. In my understanding, you really only know those scriptures in one of two ways. Either you know it the first way because you just read 24/7 and you're not being profitable to yourself, but you wise teaching many. Or two, you learned it from experience and that's why you know it so well. Right? It says you have to be patient or forbearing, however you want to put it. Right? Because when you look at patience, it's like, you can't be irritated with people so quickly because they might not learn the same way as somebody else, or they might not catch on the same, or their walk might not move as fast as yours did, or however the case may be. Verse 25 says, in meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves, if Yahweh peradventure will give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth. So not in pride, but in meekness and humbleness, like Yahweh Shai was. You have to instruct people in meekness and humbleness. Instruct the same people that are out there opposing themselves, right? They're opposing themselves, not realizing that they're doing hurt to their own soul. And if Yahweh peradventure, right, possibly he may give them the opportunity to repent. He might shift their mind to repent and bring them to the knowledge of the truth. But you got to do your part, which is what it said in verse 24. Verse 26 says, and that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will. I think that's very self-explanatory right there.
Con. And so we are supposed to teach in a manner that's not prideful. If you're not moving in pride, you're gonna be able to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you should always keep in mind, or something that I personally at least keep in mind all the time. Once you've once you've showed somebody that type of love, I would say, right? And you taught them and you helped them, and it's not in a prideful manner and things of that nature. You also have to remember, is it Titus 2:10 or 3:10, where it says,
Titus 3:10, verse 11, or verse 10 and 11.
where it says, "He that's a heretic after the second admonition reject." Also in Revelation 22:11, it says, "He that's unjust, let him be unjust. He that's filthy, let him be filthy. If he's righteous, let him be righteous. If he's holy, set apart, let him be holy still." Why? Because we're in the end times. So at the same time, yes, you teach them in the spirit of brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever the case may be. But then you also have to know who not to waste time on.
Exactly.
Right?
Don't spend your substance.
Don't waste all your energy on somebody who's shown that they don't care or don't respect your time, or the wisdom that the Most High is using you to give them as well, right?
Well said.
But so what the brother was saying though is Sirach 10 and 12. Actually, you want to read 13 real quick? So it said, the beginning of pride is when someone departs from the Most High and his heart is turned away from his Maker. Because let's pretend you're looking at the Most High. If we get to see the Most High, don't y'all think you're gonna be humbled in that moment?
I might die. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Right? You might fall. It's like there was some Christian song, I can't remember what it was called or how it went, but they used to always play it at a church that me and my rib used to go to years and years ago, and it said like, if I see you or stand before you, like, will I fall on my knees or will I be able to stand? Something like that,
I'm gonna
right?
give up the ghost and fall face first.
Right? You don't know. So if you see the Most High, I guarantee you it's gonna be the most humblest moment we ever have. So this says the beginning of pride is when your heart turns away from your Maker. You got your back to Him, right? When you're being prideful, you're turning your back on the Most High.
Verse 13. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. Man, this verse give me flashbacks to Houston. But remember when I came down here for the first time? I was telling you about the whole thing. That was the Most High giving me them strange calamities and overthrew me utterly, bro.
And that's what the Most High will do. He'll overthrow you if you're moving in pride. That's why Proverbs 16:18, it says, pride goes before destruction.
And a haughty spirit before a fall.
And a haughty spirit, again, just a prideful spirit. Haughty meaning you think you're better than other people. Before a fall. Once you start acting like that, the Most High is going to make you fall.
That was me.
Right?
That was completely me.
That was all of us at one point in our lives.
I thought my shit didn't stink.
The brother says, I stopped watching certain camps now. I'm too scared to turn back. I think
That's good, actually. That as far as no, I just mean it's good when you say you're too scared to
Con.
turn back.
Some of these camps are arrogant as well. And Con, that's I've you'd be surprised how many brothers and sisters I've heard say almost that verbatim um recently, right? Brother said bring it out. That's facts. Con. Psalm 10 and 4. You wanna read that?
Psalm 10 and 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after Yahweh. Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. Oh yeah, I like
Con.
that. I ain't even think about it. I haven't read that verse in a while. That's actually good.
Con. So why isn't the Most High in his thoughts?
Well, it says right here though, if you want to go precept on precept, line upon line, it says the Most High is not in his thoughts because the beginning of pride is when one departeth from Yahweh and his mind turned away from it.
His mind.
Your mind is already turned away from the Most High. You think that you don't need the Most High. It's like Deuteronomy chapter 8, right? That whole chapter was about when the Most High finally gives y'all this position. Don't you dare say that I did it myself. The Most High will destroy everything he gave you just as fast as he gave it to you.
Con. And that's why your mind is turned away from the Most High when you're moving in pride. And look, this is one of the most prideful things that people don't think about. Or you know what? I'm gonna give two examples. One of them is whether it be, or let's just go with people in the world, right? Because I guarantee you, every one of us knows at least one person or multiple people like this. One of the most prideful things you can do or say is you believe in God or you believe in the Most High. You believe in Yah or Yahweh or Yahuwah or Yahweh or Yahweh or
Whatever name you
Yahweh,
want to use.
whatever you call him, right? You believe in him, but then you don't actually try to follow what he says to do. Do any of y'all know somebody like that?
I can count right now.
I know the majority of people
my whole job
that I believe or that I know that say they believe in God and the God of the Bible, right? They believe the Bible is true, whatever, but they will not try to follow it. That's so what you're actually saying is you're your own God.
Yep.
And that's like the most prideful. What's the first commandment? I am Yahweh, brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. So, like the brother said, and like I've said many times before, when you think of the commandments, when you break the commandments, it's always an I to break the commandments.
That's where I learned that from. I remember when you had said
it. So the first commandment is have no other gods before me. So people will be like, I believe in God, but I can do this, or I don't have to do that from the Bible.
Yep.
Or I feel like, or I know God knows my heart.
Yeah, he like does know your heart.
And he does, and that's why you should stop being wicked, and you say you believe in him. So what you should be saying is, I believe in him, so I'm gonna do what he says to do. Yep. That's to lead back to him and what he says. Because if not, that's complete pride, right? And then another thing that people don't think about that's super prideful is boasting themselves of the morrow.
Man.
A lot of people will say, okay, I know it says to do that. I'll get right soon enough. Yeah, I'll keep Sabbath next week.
All right then.
I'll start doing it soon. So now you're assuming that the Most High has to give you that much time in order to get right, when he could just put your light out like that.
Oh man, I was guilty of that when I was with my ex, man. It's just a flashback of me doing this. I knew I wasn't supposed to eat abominable food. And I gave my power to this woman and let her entice me, and I was led away by my own lust. And in my mind, I'm not even joking with y'all. It's me being transparent with y'all. This is how I used to be. I said in my mind that it's okay if I do it this one time. I'm going to get right after this. No soon as I did that, that's when COVID had came out, bro. The one time ever he smacked me with COVID. I thought I was finna die. I'm not even joking, bro. Like, I understand what folks mean whenever they say it, like, it makes you feel like you wanna die. Like, he made me feel like I was to give up the ghost, bro. And I was praying to him the whole time while I did it. Like, man, I'm sorry. I know what I did. And he gonna make you go through it for a little period of time. And all praise to the Most High, he had mercy upon me, bro. But it was so bad. And I ain't do that no more. I did it no more. I was being prideful, like, okay, he gonna give me opportunity to fix myself. He's like, nah, I can kill you right now.
Yeah.
I can kill you right now in this bed. Like that's literally what he taught me that same day. I can kill you right here, right now, bro.
Con, con, and that's it. It's like we had told that one lady, right? Like knowing of the truth is a blessing or a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you know, now you're responsible for it. So it can be worse off for you. But
Mm-hmm.
from my personal experience, that's a huge blessing where it's like the Most High punishes you and He makes you know, not think. He makes you know exactly why you're getting punished, and you have it in your head like, oh man, I know it's for this. Salakia, I'm not gonna do like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it no
You
more.
know, right?
Not gonna do it no more.
Um,
That'd be the worst, bro.
how do you know when to let people be?
After you,
Oh, when to let people be after you told them.
I think she means in the sense
Yeah,
of
yeah, like stop, like leave them alone.
either in the sense of leave them alone, like
Let me get Matthew 7,
like that.
Matthew 7 and 6, Matthew 7 and 6. So Yahushua gave us some advice. Solomon gave us some advice. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rent you.
If you give pearls to a swine, to pigs, right? I don't know if y'all know, but back in like, if you would see like mob or mafia movies, back in a lot of the old days, they would have people that were known for killing other people would have swine, a whole bunch of pigs, and they would feed the dead bodies to the pigs because pigs will literally eat anything. They'll eat the flesh, they'll eat the brains, they'll eat the bones, everything. They'll eat everything. So, and then what are they gonna do? They're gonna shit it out and step all over it.
That's gross.
Right? So this says, Yahushua said, don't cast your pearls of wisdom to swine, because they're gonna trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. So they might eat up what you say and then they just spit it out. And then what do? After they spit it out, they're gonna trample it under feet. What does that mean?
You're gonna walk all over.
They're gonna stomp all over. I don't care about. They're gonna treat it like it's nothing, right? You tell somebody or you show somebody the easiest things, like we were just talking about. Not the easiest, but the ones people normally start following. Like the brother said, maybe it's eating swine, maybe it's eating shrimp, maybe it's keeping Sabbath, and they're like, oh yeah, you showed me with the word, and
I'm gonna eat it anyway,
right? Well, I'm gonna eat it anyway, right? So when it says that they're gonna turn and rend you, it means they're gonna turn and attack you. Okay, so there's people that you could show them with the Bible. They could say they believe the Bible, and then you show them something, and then they may even say, I'm gonna do it, and then they don't do it. They step all over it. They walk all over it, and then eventually they're gonna get to a point where if you keep on telling them, what are they gonna do?
They eventually gonna spaz out on you.
Exactly. They're gonna turn into a scoffer, a scorner, a debater.
What
All
it
of these
say?
things.
Rebuke not a scorner or rebuke not a scoffer, unless you get a blot on your name or something like that. They're gonna go around and blaming your image, people, and talk crazy to you and try to make you look bad and all that.
This is Proverbs 9 and 7. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame.
Yep.
And he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot. Yeah. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. So this is one of the easiest discernible ways to tell if you should stop or let someone be. If someone's wise, it says they're going to love you when you correct them according to the word. Okay. Right? Then there's someone who's not wise, who's a scorner, or who's a wicked man, and they're going to hate you. I've had people completely hate me just for telling them or giving them. They'll come to me for advice and I give them advice with the word. And they'll hate me to the point where they'll go and talk crap about me to other people.
How that work?
Or they'll hate me so bad that they'll cuss me out or start disrespecting me. And that's them coming to me and I give them the word.
Like, I didn't ask you to come and ask me for advice.
Exactly right. I forced you to come and ask me.
Yeah, like,
So again, rebuke a wise man and he will love thee. There's a bunch of other scriptures we could go to, but that would be the easiest one. If you're helping someone with the scriptures and they love you and they thank you for it, they sincerely thank you for it, and they appreciate it, they show appreciation. I've had people, one more thing, right? I've had people, well, I'll spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours
sometimes folk.
answering their questions, question after question, scripture after scripture, going precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little.
Mm-hmm.
Hours and hours of my time. I got 5 kids, bro.
A little too much, honey.
Right? A bunch of going here and there, answering all their questions. And at the end, they don't even say Tawada. They don't say thank you. That's not a wise person, right? So you should know by that simple Proverbs 9 and 8. If you rebuke a wise person, you correct them, they're gonna love you.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. Oh, Salakia. Lahama, you have questions, ask your husband. Salakia. I need to start asking. I'm gonna start asking. Sometimes I don't even know if okay, that says princess. Khan, you're right, Ak. Salakia. That's my bad. Said if you have questions, ask your husband. I agree 100%. I'm gonna start asking every sister on here if they're married.
Con. I think that's a
144%.
couple right there.
Khan. Uh 2 Corinthians 11 and 6. You want to grab that real quick, Ak?
Con.
Good News Translation. Perhaps I am an amateur in speaking, but certainly not in knowledge. We have made this clear to you at all times, in all conditions. Is that the same
Oh,
verse?
yeah, it's the same one. Second Corinthians,
Okay. Con.
yeah,
He
Second
means rude
Corinthians
in
11.
speech and not in knowledge, right?
Con.
Is that the verse?
Con. It says, but though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge, but we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things.
Con. A lot of times something may come off as rude, right? But guess what? Yahweh Shai called a woman a dog.
I mean, hey, I call it austere, in my opinion.
So sometimes that's the only way to give it to people for them to actually grasp the seriousness of the scriptures.
Man, I'm so glad you said that. I ain't gonna get too deep into it, but I had to say this to a person the other day, man. They got so mad when I said it, but I'm like, you obviously wasn't taking the other way I said it.
Con.
Like, I just told them, I was like, okay, well, I said it in the nicest way possible, but they took it in the most disrespectful way possible.
Was it through text?
Nah, it was on phone.
Okay.
But I told them, I just said, I said, it's clear that what I'm saying is not registering, so I'm gonna speak to you on your level. And they took that in the most disrespectful way possible.
Con.
But sometimes you gotta say it how you gotta say it.
Con, I agree. Let's go ahead and that could bring us to the subject of anger.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and go to Ephesians 4:26. Ephesians 4:26. So another thing why you should be set apart is because 9 times out of 10, if someone's angry and they start cussing somebody out, what's gonna happen?
Well, if somebody's angry and you start cussing them out, it's gonna be a lot of emotion. Probably gonna be an argument going on. You might even get to fighting depending on who it is. Whole bunch of stuff.
Con. So the best thing to do, if you know somebody is angry or an angry person, what should you do?
I'm just gonna refrain from it, to be honest with you.
You're gonna be what? Set apart.
Set myself apart, and I'm gonna keep my distance. You gonna stay over there? I'm gonna go over here.
Con. 4:26.
Con. This is Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Neither give place to the devil.
Be ye angry and sin not. When you fall into anger, more times often than not, you're going to fall into sin. So like I was just mentioning right now, the majority of the time, if you get Proverbs 22:24,
Okay.
the majority of the time when you get angry, it's because of somebody else.
You're giving them control over you.
And yeah, you're not ruling your spirit for sure.
Definitely.
Right? But if you give in to anger, it says you're giving place to what? To the devil.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving place to an evil spirit to take you over if you're not ruling your spirit enough to not give in to anger.
This is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go.
It said, make no friendship with an angry man. Be set apart from angry people. Simple enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Simple in concept, but in
Simple.
application,
There you go.
in application, of course, it's going to be a little bit harder to do for a lot of people that are going to make an excuse according to their own will. Well, they're angry, yes, but I want to help them. Or I can get them to. You can't get them to do anything. Only the Most High can, right? We could plant seeds, but
Most High.
there's no way for us to make those seeds grow.
Absolutely. I wish.
There's a lot of times where we wish we could just magically make the seed grow, but that's not the way it works.
Con.
Right? So it says, make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man, don't go with them. Stay away from them.
Because if you don't, verse 25 says, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul.
A snare to your soul.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going to learn his ways again. He that toucheth pitch will be defiled therewith.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going to be defiled with their anger. You're going to be defiled with their pride. You're going to be defiled with their lustfulness. Because all these things are just spirits. They're moving in a spirit of pride, in a spirit of lust. And spirits could be hopping person to person, just like in that movie.
Fallen?
Yeah, Fallen.
Right? I still got to watch it. I seen the previews and everything. I ain't watched it yet, though.
I haven't seen it in years, but yeah, we should all watch it in the barn one day.
I think we should do that. Like how you did that one day with Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
That's one of my favorite movies. That's a good one. There you go.
In Luke chapter 6, verse 45 in a GNT version, a good person brings good out of the treasure of good things in his heart. A bad person brings bad out of his treasure of bad things. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. That's very true. I think I was literally just telling my rib this today. I was like, literally, as a man thinketh, all right? It's not about, you know how it says, I think in that same context it was talking about, though, it's not that what goes in the man that defiles him, but that which comes out of you. We all have wicked thoughts from time to time. You might have prideful thoughts cross your mind. You might have lustful thoughts cross your mind, right? You know what I'm saying? You know you're supposed to be set apart, and then because you wasn't for a split amount of time, all these things come in your mind. But you don't actually get defiled if you don't confess it with your mouth, or if you don't actually display it with your outer, your outward actions. You feel what I'm saying? As long as it don't come out of you, then it doesn't defile you. It might come into your mind, but you know what I'm saying? That's where you got to do the work and start plucking it like weeds. You got to just get it out of there.
And that's why we mentioned a couple of times already, Psalm 101:3, it says, it shall not cleave to me. As soon as you feel that spirit trying to cleave to you, you got to start praying, fasting, reading, doing whatever you need to do to get that off of you before it actually cleaves to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But yeah, that's a good verse. Whatever your heart is full of, that's what's going to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Ezekiel 16:30, Berean Study Bible. How weak-willed is your heart, declares the Lord Yahweh, while you do all these things, the acts of a shameless prostitute. Ooh. That's cold.
So in the KJV it says, how weak is thine heart, saith Yahweh, seeing thou doest all these things, the work of an imperious, whorish woman. That's why the Most High says that the heart is deceitful above all things, and wicked, who can know it? Because a lot of people trust in their heart over trusting in the Most High, which that's complete pride, right? And that's why it's so funny that people, funny but not funny, y'all know what I mean.
That's prideful too, though.
When people say, well, God knows my heart. Yes, he knows that it's desperately wicked above all things. Right? So anytime you say that, you're actually saying like the Most High knows my wickedness. That's what you're saying. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we have to write the scriptures upon the table of our hearts so that our hearts won't be wicked. But most people would just rather keep their own worldly carnal
Perception.
thoughts and go off of that and say things that the world gives them, right? And they believe that and they'll hold fast to that and make a doctrine out of it rather than okay but the Bible says this though, right?
That's your understanding.
Right, but the scripture is of no private interpretation,
Exactly.
right? um let's go to James chapter 3 real quick.
Con.
James chapter 3 and verse 14.
This
Would
is, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
This is James chapter 3, verse 14. But if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth.
There's people that, and I just told a sister this the other day. There's many people that their mouth and their Instagram and their YouTube and their Facebook, they're all full of scriptures, but their heart is actually full of envying and strife and pride and all these other things. So right here it says, if ye have bitter envying and strife in your heart, glory not and lie not against the truth. You shouldn't be acting like you're in the truth then if you're really envious and always moving in the spirit of strife and pride in your heart,
Yep.
right? And that's why I've told many brothers before, as far as like your household, if your house is out of order, then you shouldn't be teaching because you need to get your house in order first, right? That's why the scriptures say that if you don't know how to run your own house, then how could you know how to run the church of the Most High?
Mm-hmm.
But even more so, that's like I know of brothers that have came to me and hey, yeah, I'm not teaching or doing lessons or nothing like that because I'm struggling with this right now and I'm really trying to get that off of me. That's the best spirit to be in because
Mm-hmm.
you're being honest with yourself,
Humble.
right? You're being humble. You're examining yourself, like the brother Barziyah had posted earlier, right? And when you're doing that, the Most High sees that as a better thing than you to be over here teaching His word, but then you're really moving in the spirit of pride or envying or strife,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Go ahead and read 16, Baba Shah.
Verse 16. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work.
So just like one of the brothers mentioned, and I've mentioned many times before, there's a lot of churches, congregations, camps, etc., that there's so much envying and strife to the point where it's like that's the majority of what they're teaching, or the majority of what they're focusing on is strife and going against other brothers.
It's crazy you said that because I was thinking about this the other day, man. They treat it like it's gang banging.
Con,
I'm gonna just keep it real. I've seen people make posts. I've seen camp people make posts. I'm not putting no names. It don't even matter. But I've seen camp people literally make posts, and this was recent, where they will put a prophecy up that's going on right now, and then they'll put in the caption, "This camp and this camp right here teaching otherwise," and da 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 da. And I'm just like, bruh, what are you doing? Yeah, but still, you know what I mean? Like, you literally just you at this point, y'all just posting to debate.
con, and there's nothing wrong with exposing the deeds of darkness, like the like
Right,
the Most High says.
right.
But the thing is,
It's
there's
beyond that.
there's certain people that are only doing it to be like, see, they're wrong.
Yep.
See, this person's wrong. See that and another thing that I've said many times as well is like there was an incident that happened maybe a year and a half ago, right? And everybody was posting how this one camp was wrong about this certain incident. I was seeing like, damn, everybody's posting about this. This is crazy, like crazy situation. What I did was I've talked to the, I guess you would say, head person or the elder, the priest of this camp.
Chief.
So I reached out to him and messaged him and said, "Hey, look, everybody posting about this, blah blah blah. Do you want to? Can we get on the phone and talk about it before I say anything? Because I'm trying to reach out to you first, like how it says to reach. If someone trespasses against you, you go to that brother yourself and try to talk to them about it first. And then if they won't hear you, then you go to the congregation or a larger amount of people, right? Mm-hmm. And anyways, he said this was sincere AF. I'm gonna get back to you. Never got back to me. Right, and that's perfectly fine, right? But the point is, a lot of brothers don't care to reach out to nobody. Yeah. Because they just want to talk shit. Yeah. They want to look like I'm right and I know what's right. Yeah. And what it really comes down to is not who's right. Like, oh, I know, no, y'all, I'm right. What's right? It's what is right, which is the word. So if the word says this, then and you're wrong according to the word, then okay, I can let it be known. But in reality, if I'm in the right spirit, I should be going to you first and say, hey, look, I saw this, that, and the other happened. I know you were involved, so I'm reaching out to you to see, if the whole situation is the way it went down. Mm-hmm. There's some scriptures here I'd like to go over with you. Look, it says this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. I got precept upon precept. I got 2 or 3 witnesses. Look, here's one in the Old Testament, in the law. Here's one in Yahushua said this, etc. Right? But you can tell when people are just moving in a spirit of strife. Yeah. And like the scriptures say, it's an honor for men to cease from strife. Yep. It's actually an honor to get out of strife. When people act like it's an honorable thing to get into strife. I try to stay away from all static, bro. You know how much energy it takes to get into that stuff and keep it going? Proverbs 25:9, debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself and discover not a secret to another. And guess what? Me and this brother have dealt with that, and even recently have dealt with that. Why would you go to somebody else and talk about somebody when you're supposed to go to the neighbor and talk about it? Yeah. Right? Brother said, right, Yasharallah Khan. And the pride prevented him from being transparent and admitting to that transgression in the convo you would have had. Khan. I agree. Khan. Absolutely. And sometimes, with that brother's specifically that example, he did, to his credit, he did come out and say, look, we messed up, blah blah blah. He made a whole video about it. I'm sure many people reached out to him in that situation. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said that's perfectly fine. If he didn't want to talk to me personally about it, I'm probably no one to him because I'm not a part of his congregation or nothing like that, right? Yeah, what it is. So that's perfectly fine with me. That's the way of the world. Shaking my head. Khan. It is. You right about that. Khan. If you want to get 1 Corinthians 1:12 real quick. Khan. 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 12. Now this I say, that every one of you saith, I am of Paul, and I of Apollo, and I of Cephas, and I of Hamashiach. So there's different people saying, I'm of Paul. Hey, Paul baptized me. Or, hey, I've been learning from Paul. Hey, I've been learning from Cephas. I've been learning from y'all. I've been learning from ABC. Right? All the different camps. Go ahead. Man, don't do that with me. Is Hamashiach divided? Was Paul crucified for you? Or were ye baptized in the name of Paul? So guess what? None of us are to be baptized okay, I baptize you in the name of the brother named. No. We were all baptized into the body of Yahushua through the power of Yahweh, right? So what does this sound like to you, Ak? So I'm a Crip. I'm blood. I'm a I was literally gonna say that, bro. Like, it's literally like there was a brother. It's a brother I follow. I think you follow him on Instagram too. And he made a post one day and said they done turned everything now into modern day gangbanging. They done brought gangbanging to the faith. That's literally what it is. Every time I look at it now, Proverbs 20:12, right? With eyes to see, it's just all gangbanging. Like, I'm gonna use an example. I'm not gonna say the camp's names. If you know, you know. If you don't, you know. If you don't, then it's whatever, right? But that fight that broke out when they were street preaching,
gang banging. Y'all basically fighting over
The corner.
the corner that y'all on, and y'all serving the same rock. What sense do that make? You know what I
And
mean?
you're supposed to be brothers.
And you supposed to be brothers, and you supposed to be loving your neighbors. Like, come on, bro. It just don't make no sense to me, man.
Calm.
So that's what this sound like to me.
Calm. And that's like there's a brother named Apats who I remember a long time ago he had posted. He was like something like there's nothing cornier than these brothers trying to bring like being gangster into the faith.
That what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Like, come on now, bro.
Like you're holding on to the old man, but I'm gonna bring him into the faith. You know what I mean?
Crazy, dude.
Can you jump to chapter 3? 3 and verse 3 real quick.
1 Corinthians 3:3. For ye are yet carnal. For whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are ye not carnal and walk as men?
So it says y'all are carnal because y'all envy each other, y'all strive with each other. There's divisions among you. So aren't you carnal? Aren't you just like men? When you're not walking in the spirit, you're walking in carnality. Go ahead.
For while one saith, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollo, are ye not carnal?
So you're carnal when you're saying, I'm from this, I'm from that, I'm from ABC. Nah, I'm from DEF.
What camp you from?
Right? I'm from HYZ. I don't know. You know all the ABC camps, right? A lot of the camps are just ABC camps. They got all these different initials.
Basically.
And it's funny because funny but not funny, outside of, people that call themselves Israelites, it's the same thing. Now, well, I'm Catholic. I'm apostolic.
Yeah.
I'm Seventh-day Adventist. No, I'm a Mormon.
Yeah.
You're a Mormon?
I'm a Muslim.
No, I'm right. I'm a Muslim. I'm from the Nation of Islam. No. I'm just a Muslim. I'm not from the Nation. I'm not from NOI though. From Nation of Islam. They're going off, but I'm a Muslim. I'm a real Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Go ahead.
Who then is Paul, and who is Apollo, but ministers by whom ye believed, even as the Lord gave to every man?
So they're just ministers of the Most High, or of the Most High and His Son. Go ahead.
I have planted, Apollo watered, but Yahweh gave the increase.
So guess what? Paul, maybe he planted the first seed, and then he had other brothers because Paul wasn't around. That's why he's writing a letter to Corinth, because he wasn't there. So then Apollos is watering them, still teaching them and stuff. But the Most High is the one who gives the increase for you to get any amount of knowledge, wisdom, or understanding. Go ahead.
So then, neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but Yahweh that giveth the increase.
So check out what Paul said, right? Because this goes completely against what I've been told so many times since I've been in the truth. He said, so then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that waters. So he's saying, yeah, I planted the seed, but guess what? I'm nothing. And guess what? Apollos was watering y'all and still teaching y'all. He's nothing. Mm-hmm. The Most High gave the increase. Go ahead.
Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor.
Go ahead.
For we are laborers together with Yahweh. Ye are God's husbandry. Ye are Yahweh's building.
So it says the one that planted, which in this case was Paul, and he that watered, which in this case was Apollos, right? We're one. Because they're just the workers. Like, let's put it this way, right? Let's say me and this brother own a company and we're building a building, right? Mm-hmm. And we hire some, we did the schematics, we did the blueprint. Mm-hmm. We're just overseeing and we're telling, making sure it gets done right, right? That's the Most High and Yahushai. Not comparing ourselves to him. I'm just giving y'all a real world example. Let's say we hire 50 workers so we can get it done quick, right? We want the building put up quick. And we see 2 of them, they're doing good, but then they're slacking off. Maybe they don't show up. They show up late and stuff. They're nothing. We could replace them so easily, right? The one that's in control of putting the building together is the one that's really in charge, the one that's really in control and really matters. That's Yahweh and Yahushai. So I've been told many times, like, you shouldn't speak against those brothers because you wouldn't be in the truth if they wouldn't have taught you, and if you wouldn't have learned from them. You have to respect them, even if they're teaching something that goes against what the Most High says. It's like we got to be a respecter of persons just because the Most High used them.
Yeah.
But in reality, the Most High can use anybody He wants.
Exactly. People always say that. Like I had somebody tell me that recently. They was like, I mean, like they actually had understanding though. They was like, I understand what you mean, and I definitely agree with you as far as like, a lot of them out here leading people astray and stuff like that. But at the same time, I ain't got too much to say, only because I did come in because of something that they might have said. Which at the end of the day, we understand that it's all because of the Most High.
It's all because of the Most High.
It's all Him.
And like it says, Sirach 37:19, it says there's one that's wise and teaches many, but is unprofitable to himself. So there's a bunch of people that even like in the Christian church, because guess what? You're not going to hear an Israelite say that about Christians. There's certain pastors, pastor. There's this pastor that I learned some stuff from that is biblical, that can be backed up with the scriptures, and he don't keep Sabbath. He don't wear fringes. He doesn't even have a beard.
You can get a word,
right? But guess what? I learned some stuff from him that to this day I still think about it, and I'm like, I'm keeping that in mind because I don't want to go against that. I know that's true.
Yep.
Does that mean I'm going to worship this man? Or does that mean that I'm going to believe everything that he says or be a respecter of persons towards him? Of course not. And that's the big problem, like I already mentioned, with a lot of people, is they're afraid to quote unquote disrespect somebody by showing them scriptures of how they're wrong according to the Most High.
They fear the face of men.
Exactly. They don't fear the face of the Most High, but they fear the face of man.
And that's Torah too.
Huh. You had a precept or no?
Oh yeah, I was thinking. So in Psalm 127 verse 1, it says, "Except Yahweh build the house, the laborers labor in vain, and except Yahweh keepeth the city, then the watchers watch in vain." It's just basically saying the same thing as what Paul was saying by him and Apollo, right? Like, yeah, like I had somebody recently thank me today or yesterday, since it's like 1 in the morning. I had somebody thank me recently, and he was just talking about like, and I'm gonna just tell you what he said, and I'm gonna tell you what I said. He said, "Bro, you be spitting facts on your page." He was like, "The water," he said, "the water for your ministry." And I know what he meant when he said ministry. He didn't mean it in like a congregation sense, like he just meant it like, spreading the word. But I told him, I said, all praise to the Most High perpetually, because it's not me. Like anything that I'm saying right now, bro, it all comes from him. You feel what I'm saying? Like anytime somebody ever says anything, and I'm a witness for the same way too. Like the way we should be is how Apollo is, or how Paul is talking about him and Apollo. Like literally, we are nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it says it in Timothy, right? In the master's house, there's many vessels of gold and silver, wood and stone, vessels to honor and dishonor. The Most High can pick up any of them vessels and make them a vessel to honor, to use them for whatever purpose. And it can be to spread the word. It can be for this. It can be for that. We ain't got no say so over that. So it's a prideful thing if you take the information or the knowledge that he gave you to use and think that you out here doing something with it. Like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't with us, you ain't gonna make it. Or if you ain't listening to me, you ain't gonna make it. Or, you know what I'm saying? I got all the keys, or I got 144% truth and all that.
You learn from me. So if you disrespect me,
I brought you in the truth. Like, come on, bro. Come on now, bro. It humbles me when somebody thank me for something, bro. I just like, don't thank me at all. Thank the Most High, because I ain't got nothing to do with it. I know he used me and everything, but I ain't got nothing to do with that.
And I actually like that word minister, because if you look at like the etymology and the actual definition of it, a minister, it means a servant.
Yeah.
It means to serve. So, but when you think about it in like a Christianity sense, you don't really,
you don't think of it like
it's like everybody else is serving. Y'all serve me up them tithes.
Yeah, come on with them tithes, buddy.
But what it actually means, I like the definition of it. You
want to
read the comments on
it? Bars like, yeah, Judah said there's just more options with camps, but just as divided as gangs. I agree. Why is there even pressure to join? Shaking my head. Brothers don't want people to repent. Just want a number in their camp. Brother, you said it. You said it right there. There's nothing new under the sun. I'll tell you exactly why so much pressure to join. Because for one, It's two reasons why. For one, if you look at it from a gang banging perspective, right? What I've understood back in my previous life, right? Because I used to grow up around that stuff, and anybody who understands understands. But one reason why is because you want to strengthen your numbers. You feel what I'm saying? You think like you truly believe in your heart that there's strength in numbers, whether it's unrighteousness or righteousness. But in our reality, there's only strength in numbers if it's righteousness, right? But the second reason why is because a lot of these camps, even though they might not classify as a 501c3, they all make you pay money for counsel. They make you pay a monthly, you know what I'm saying, donation or whatever the case may be. It like modern Christianity found its way into the faith. That's why a lot of camps don't tell people to come out the cities and stuff like that. They don't tell them to pursue the old paths and flee Babylon from the midst of her and all of that stuff because it's gonna mess with their flow. It's gonna mess with their money, man. That's really what it comes down to. For anybody that's listening right now and it's a hard pill to swallow, I'm just keeping it real with you. Like, I'm not making this up. That's literally what it is. It's because they want to strengthen their numbers, because they're prideful. They want to battle other camps and stuff, like it's gang banging, and they want to be able to make money off of you at the same time. That's what they used to do in the streets. Like, literally, if you were a gang banger, you had to pay your dues. You literally had to pay.
Some way or another.
In some way or another, you got to pay your dues. You see what I'm saying? So that's how they do it. That's literally how they operate. And they just, I don't know any other way to explain it.
That's why a few times I've said, I don't know if it was in my story or a post, it's like for a lot of the congregations or camps or things of that nature, for hating Christianity so much,
you sure act like
a lot of them love Christianity's business model, right? They that they will take from it. That they will.
They selling the truth instead of buying it. They selling it.
Warriors dream Barziyah, not being fishers of men for their souls to be saved. A lot of them. All right. For vain purpose, shaking my head, blood on their hands. They must repent.
If they gonna repent.
And you know, Most High willing, they will. I've seen brothers over the years that I've been in the faith, that I can think of. I've seen brothers come out of a lot of the main camps for a reason, and have spoken to me about it. GMS for sure, IUIC,
I applied all praise to the Most High.
Right, WFI, who else? What's the one with the maroon?
Talking about the maroon.
True Nation. Yeah. True Nation, and more than that, right? Sakari, more than that. And I'm not saying get out of these camps. What I'm saying is you have to examine yourself and examine those around you, and see, like, okay, if I don't believe a certain doctrine, then why am I going to stay with these people who are teaching the same doctrine, right? Exactly. And I will say this as well. I've met sincere brothers from probably every single camp.
Yeah, they out there,
right? And I've met sincere brothers that have came out of certain camps as well. So again, I'm not saying you need to get out of every camp. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to pay attention to what they're teaching and what they're doing, how they're moving, and the spirit that they're teaching in. And then if you don't agree with it, guess what? You got to get the blood off your hands.
Exactly.
And you got to, for what reason? Like the brother said here, they must repent so that you can try to help them repent of whether, like the brother said earlier, and like we read in Sirach, the 10th chapter, pride is the beginning of all sin. What it all comes down to is pride. So who knows if the Most High set you up to be in a certain congregation
to help,
to give somebody the word that they need to be convicted so that they can repent. But again, it comes down to the choice. You're going to be a coward and you're not going to say nothing, right? But from my experience personally, and from a few brothers that I've talked to that have, they'll tell certain brothers, look, what about this? The scripture, blah, blah, blah. Some brothers will flat out say, you know what? I can see that, whatever, but we teach this or we believe this. And you know what? That's fine.
Yep.
The blood's off your hands, though, right? And that's what's really important.
And now you got to move accordingly.
And now you got to move accordingly. Exactly.
Because I don't hate camps at all, man. I had a brother of mine who the Most High used to bring me into the truth. And and every time I would talk to him and stuff like that, and I would tell him like how I personally don't mess with camps. I don't hate them or nothing like that. And he would always ask me, he was like, do you got something against camps? I'm like, no, I don't have nothing against them because, like the brother said, I've actually met sincere people in certain camps. I haven't talked to as many camps, you know what I'm saying? But I've met sincere people and I know they're out there. But I also know what the scripture's saying. The scripture's saying Proverbs 29:12. It says, "If a ruler hearkens to lies, all the servants are wicked." So you gotta just be mindful, bro. Like, just it's just like how he said, the Most High might have put you in the position to know something and say something to them. And then Barzayah Judah said, going back to want to be a part of something so bad to where they won't they won't repressive. What does that mean? Repressive. You know that word mean?
So like going back to want to be a part of something so bad to where they want repressive a brother a brother because they're risking losing their place in the group. They won't correct, I believe is what he's saying.
Something along those lines. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping.
I agree 100%. And like one of the things we always have to remember is, I was just reading this with my oldest daughter yesterday, right? Ask and
you shall receive.
Right? Ask and you shall receive. Because you get a Proverbs 30 and I think it's 8. Let me see. Proverbs, 30 and 8.
Proverbs chapter 30, verse 8. Remove far from me vanity and lies.
Solomon was praying to the Most High to remove vanity and lies. Vanity and pride go hand in hand. Vanity is useless. Pride is useless. Having a position up high in a camp is useless if you're not teaching according to the word, and if you're not actually fishing for souls, right? That's vanity, to be like, I want to be up in this group. Mm-hmm. Instead of, you know what, I want to bring people in, and if I move up, well, then I mean that's the Most High's will.
They want vainglory though. That's the thing about it. It's like you told me when I first ever met you, and when I first actually came into the knowledge, where I came into the truth, right? One of the first things you taught me, and I proved it, so don't think I was just taking his word for it, not proving all things. But Israel loves a star. Mm-hmm. And as long as I've been paying attention to that, and I've been seeing it more and more and more as the days go by. Israel loves a star. When you got a name and a status, right, which I understand where you can get the concept, it talks about how, a man's name is important, right? You care about your reputation, but they got it set up in these congregations and stuff to where it's like, okay, well, all eyes on me, and if you ain't in my position, you ain't worth nothing. So everybody's fighting to get to that position, and they gonna do whatever they gotta do. They gonna try to, deceive or, make their own little group, and what I'm saying, you name it.
And just to credit a brother that that was like an elder to me when I was first coming into the truth. He told me that, and it was pertaining to more to sisters, right? Mm-hmm. As far as like Israel loves a star, mm-hmm. which is why at that time there was like certain sisters dealing with, so-called stars or heads of certain camps, and then it would come to find out like they weren't together no more for whatever reason, and then going to the next dude and the next dude, and because Israel loves a star. But it's the same thing with brothers as well. Like everybody wants to be that dude.
Yep.
When in reality, we're all different members of the body. Like you should never want to be like, oh, I want to teach like that brother. Oh, the way he broke that down. And how many times have you heard a brother that sounds exactly like his elder or his camp leader? Exactly.
I'd be lying if I say I don't hear it every time.
You hear it's like almost clones. Like what's that movie everybody's posting? I haven't seen it yet. The Clones.
I think what it say, Mama they clone Tyrone.
Okay, yeah.
I ain't watched it yet either, but I want to see it.
Well, they sound like clones of the next brother, and I'm laughing because that was me at one point in time, right? I was listening to two main camps, but one particularly, which is one of the biggest camps, and I was sounding just more and more and more like the person that I was learning from, right? Mm-hmm. So that's another reason why we have to examine ourselves. And if you see the man is prideful, you got to set yourself apart, or you're going to be defiled by him.
And be just like him.
Right?
Literally like a puppet.
All praise the Most High.
He said them camp fees.
Oh man, those camp fees.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying.
So I'm just gonna speak from experience, right? me and another brother that would go out and teach and stuff, and then there was a couple other brothers that would hold the camera or whatever, different ones that would come when they could, and I was sincerely thinking about becoming a affiliation of one of the biggest camps. I'm sure 90 some% of you have heard of it. And the elder reached out and said, "Hey, send me them videos and blah blah as you're putting them out." And I was thinking about it, but as soon as I heard, yeah, the monthly fee is just this much, I was like, "Whoa, whoa, hold up." And they were like, "We're gonna send you material though, stuff you can go over." And I'm like, "Wait, you mean the Bible?
You
Like,
gonna make me pay for the book?
so you're gonna send me? Yeah, well, you can verses you can answer questions with and stuff like that." And that completely turned me off from the whole idea,
That's crazy.
right?
That's crazy.
Man, nail on the head. All praises, all praise to the Most High.
Con.
It's and you know what? It all goes back to, or at least for me.
Reprove. That's what he meant.
Oh, okay,
I was
reprove.
thinking that I didn't know if you meant reprove, but I didn't want to guess. It said on the assume, so I didn't want to assume.
Con. And for me, at least, with this particular topic, since I've experienced it, it's like how it says, a man that travels much knows much, or a man that's experienced much is gonna have more wisdom, declare wisdom. That's why I can speak on this, because I've been through this with multiple different camps, with a couple different ones that it was the same thing. Like, why do you have to pay a monthly fee in order to go? So put it this way: you can go out and teach people and record it and put it on your YouTube, right, for free, obviously. Or you can claim a certain congregation's name.
You're paying for the name.
You're literally paying for the name, and you go and do the same thing, but now you have their name. That's just crazy to me.
I'm of Apollo, man. I heard you Paul. I can't mess with you, man. You ain't messing with me, dog.
Salakia auto correct. It happens to me all the time.
Said, right, I love camps and all my brothers, even not in camps. I love all Israel and pray we all repent, no respective persons. I mean, that's a good spirit to be in my personal opinion, man. Like I said, I don't have a problem with nobody. You feel what I'm saying? I respect anybody who actually moves in genuine love towards the brethren, because even though we know only a remnant going to be saved, at the end of the day, moving in that type of spirit with genuine love, that's the second greatest commandment. You know what I'm saying? So,
but with that love comes exactly what the brother's saying. You can't be a respecter of persons, and you have to be able to reprove and correct people, no matter their status, right? And there is a different way to do it for certain different people, because like the verse that I forgot what book chapter verse it is, but it says that you're not supposed to bring an accusation against an elder unless you have 2 or 3 witnesses, right? So let's say it's your elder and he did something, or he's doing something that's out the spirit, then hey, you need at least another person there in case of, let's say, him or you start spreading rumors or something like that. You need to have someone else there to be able to say, like, nah, that's not what happened. It actually went down like this. Right? So in reality, just like being set apart is a defense for us against wickedness, having other witnesses there is a defense as well. Because if not, it's just going to be he said, she said. Right?
Yep. He said, I did that. I had to snap out of it. I literally was mimicking what I heard. Man, I feel like we've all done been there, man. I was the same way. I ain't gonna lie to you now. I'm not gonna lie to you at all. I had to catch myself. Isn't that what you meant by con? That video you and Azariah did?
So it's con men and con men. Con means yes, right? When you're a con man, a con in the Hebrew means yes. If you're a yes man, you're a con man too, because you're just con. You know those seagulls in Finding Nemo? Con. That's what they sound like, right? No matter what the brother says. I don't know if y'all seen that meme. It was probably a couple years ago, but a brother had made. It was like a clip from GMS, and it was like 2/3 gonna be destroyed, and then con, and then it was like only 1/3 is gonna make it. Con, the Most High is gonna deal with all you heathen, blah blah. Con, and then it was like that I think it was that one where he's like, yeah, we're gonna be getting them in the kingdom when they're 10 years old. And
whoa!
Like, wait, what? You know what I'm saying? It was that time. If I could find that, bro, I'm gonna end up
Oh,
posting
I
it.
might cry if I hear that, bro. I might cry. He
Con.
said, huh? Answer questions. Send me verses to answer questions.
Paying to be associated is crazy. It is,
Yeah, it's just like games.
but it's crazy that so many people do it.
They actually like with it though. It's crazy, right? Now, what got me was when Jomar made that song, come get counsel for $100. What it
Oh,
say?
con.
How much for $1? For 100?
Con. That's crazy to me. That's crazy that that brother even reached out to me to try to defend it. But anyways, um, it all comes down to pride. And if you want to get Sirach 13 and one more time,
Con.
pride, whether somebody's moving in pride, in anger, I'm gonna have to close it out in a minute because every time it hits 3 hours, it normally cuts off.
By itself.
Yeah, I think that's like the time limit unless you start paying for a
Gotcha.
StreamYard.
This is Sirach chapter 13, verse 1. He that toucheth pitch shall be defiled therewith, and he that hath fellowship with the proud man shall be like unto him.
So just replace proud with any of the things that we were talking about. A lustful man, it could be an angry man, a prideful man, a slothful man, any type of gluttony, greedy,
Mm-hmm.
envious, jealous. If you're around these types of people and you're not being set apart, even gossiping, you hang around a gossiping person, and maybe at first you're like, man, this person's always gossiping. I'm not even going to talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you catch yourself listening. And then you hear what they said, and you're like, oh, damn, is that true? Oh, no, 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 that's gossiping. Like, I can't be a part of that. And before you know it, you're in on the conversation, right? So, fill in the blank with proud. Go ahead and read it one more time.
He that toucheth pitch shall be defiled therewith, and he that hath fellowship with the proud man shall be like unto him.
You're going to be like a proud man, a lustful man, a wicked man, a man that's covered in evil spirits,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why a huge thing for me as a man, just for you brothers, right? Let's go ahead and finish with Sirach 11:29. Baba Kashaw. Sirach 11:29. For you brothers especially, this is something that I know this brother takes to heart, and me as well.
Sirach chapter 11, verse 29. Bring not every man into thine house, for the deceitful man hath many trains.
Don't bring just anybody into your house, because the deceitful man has many trains. There's many evil spirits that are being used, especially in these last days, because Satan knows his time is short, to come into your house. And if they're in your house, they can enter into your family,
Yep.
etc. And us as men of the Most High are to protect not only ourselves, but our wives, our children, our house in general.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, again, being set apart is the easiest way to not put yourself in the position to have to fight off evil spirits. Obviously, if you're dealing with an evil spirit, you're going to have to fight them off, right?
Absolutely.
But wouldn't you rather not be in the fight in the first place?
Yeah, prevent me from having to exert energy and possibly mess my hands up.
Con. And there was a black belt, um, probably none of y'all have heard of him, but he had said years ago, he was like, someone had asked him a question along the lines of, like, if you got in a fight with someone who's untrained, or if they were starting a fight with you, what move would you use in order to like to put him to sleep or stop the fight as quick as possible? And he was like, I'm not going to get in the fight.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay away.
And they were like, what? But why? You're a black belt. You're a world champion, whatever. He's like, I don't know if he has a gun. I don't know if he has a knife. My job is to go home to my family at night. So that's the same, taking that same advice and that same spirit, being set apart again. That's why 681 times according to my 1611 KJV app, it's in the Bible to be holy, and be, which again, you look at the definition, it means sanctified, consecrated, and set apart. That is a defense for the Most High. And it's obvious that he repeated it over and over and over because we know that Israel is hard headed and stiff necked, right? So we need to keep applying it over and over and over. And the more you do, the safer you're going to be.
Con.
right? Tawada for your labor, Akim, mighty lesson, much needed. Khan, all praise to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, family. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatham. Khan, anything you want to say before we finish out? Got like 4 minutes.
Man, honestly, I mean, for as long as I've been in the truth, I've heard the Ox say this. I've read it myself. I've seen very few brothers talking about it, but being set apart really is extremely important, though, believe it or not. I mean, if you really can like sit here and think about it from a logical perspective, consider that we are in the last days. Do not forget what time period we're in right now.
Khan.
There's only going to be a few more years left. I don't know exactly how much time. It's looking like they talking about some Agenda 2030 stuff. Obviously, the most I can speed it up or slow it down. That's up to him. Nevertheless, it's here. It's very close. The devil is a subtle serpent, right? Subtle means deceptive, and deception comes in any way, shape, or form it can come in, right? So being set apart is absolutely the strongest thing, best thing, and the smartest thing you could ever do in this time period right now. It's gonna prevent so many fatalities, casualties, whatever you want to call it, right? It's gonna prevent so many problems. Like if you claim that you follow the Most High, then do what the Most High says and set yourself apart so you can avoid all these problems, especially if you're a man that got a family.
Khan, especially. And to add on to that, I'm gonna go ahead and finish with 2 Corinthians 6 and 14 one more time. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness?
Mm-hmm.
Verse 17. Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate, saith Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith Yahweh Almighty. So I'll finish with a question, right? According to your actions, this says be unequally yoked with unbelievers. This says come out from among them. This says be separate, and the Most High will receive you and be a father to you, and you'll be his son or daughter, right? So you're answering with your actions. Let's say you live with wicked people or you're in a wicked environment, etc. Is it more important to you to save money and stay there, or is it more important to you to be separate and come out from among them and for the Most High to be like a father to you? Or is it more important for you, for whatever excuse or whatever reason you have, to not be set apart? Or is it more important for you to come out from among them, be separate, and the Most High will receive you, right? And you answer with your actions, right? John 14:23, Yahushua answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words,
Mm-hmm.
and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him.
Mm-hmm.
Keep his words. What is the words that we're going over right now? Set apart from wickedness and from this world. Khan. So with that, we give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatham, to all you sincere brothers and sisters that are striving to live out the word in truth, in sincerity, and in humility. Shabbat Shalom, Ashar Shabbat, to all you brothers and sisters keeping the Shabbat, and to anyone who is going to be checking this out later,
Khan.
right?
Shabbat Shalom, man. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah, man. Blessings be upon everybody.
All right. Till the next time, Shalom.